good game. This was a great game right here. Where I like showed, where I threw my attention and just quit the game. Like, I go to fucking, I play Bucky, I destroy the entire team. I come in, they had no space, they were able to do nothing. I go to Bucky, I destroy them for a few minutes. Then my solo tank switches to rogue.
I still have some hunt left in me.
And I came and they targeted me so hard. They so mad. They got so mad. This thing I was here. Oh, he's gonna die now. I can switch to road.
We make a good team.
Actually, I'll move to
Armed and dangerous! Again!
Double kill!
Again!
Much better.
So that's 3! Wow, 4 in a row! 5! That's amazing!
Look at this part's fun. Like I'm gonna walk around there with him getting pocketed.
Let's deliver this core to Baraka!
Like what?
Much better.
I ain't no BPs over there.
Much better.
Your best regenerated from that soon, Wade. So cold. Against the world!
You gotta leave the orb. Hold
still, I'm trying to help.
Playtime's over! They're coming from behind!
Look at when he uses his ult.
Tremble!
Look at
Popeye makes a cut!
Hell unleashed! I am ready to put on a show!
I went back to this. Somebody's talking about all over. Yes, because we have rope. It's not even like she's cap or something. She's not getting it back on. Those are actually nice. But then I just keep looking at my team, and they're just doing nothing. They're just sitting behind.
You stopped them in their tracks! A nice deep freeze.
Back to my old self.
Only 60 seconds left.
Magneto!
I'm about to play that shit. Back still.
Pick your hero. Or villain. I'm not judging. Meow.
They really think they can get away from me. How
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Another petty thief. As if teaming...
It's about damn time I showed up to the party, am I right?
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
Intruders detected.
I hope this is important. Reed and I had a date night planned. Focus on the battle! Well, on my prey! Let's make a deal. I'm wounded. Who will help? Luck! So stealthy! Mark my prey! So stealthy!
Looks like the mission area is yours to capture now.
Let's make a deal.
Capture the mission area!
Wow.
Cat's claws!
That's you real?
So stealthy! Not so lucky. Let's make a deal. A small fortune. My fortune's rising. To be fair, line and trace.
I'm out to like.
That's unlucky. But still. Line and tracer. I'm wounded.
Fucked up, bro. They are getting fucked up.
That's unlucky. But still.
Your team's capture progress has passed the halfway
Niggas
point.
getting fucked up by the cat, bro.
Heads up, losers!
Let's make a deal. Feeling luckier. Mark my prey. That's unlucky. But still. Line and tracer.
These niggas.
That's unlucky. But still. Better ride. Mark my prey.
Magneto!
Double KO! No winner yet. Going to overtime.
That's some bad luck!
I think still not on.
Pull-up time!
For mutant kind!
My team is fucking awful.
Nice to know I haven't lost my hunter's instinct after all these years. I'm not anyone's sidekick. What I do is...
Why are
Your
you
boy
dead?
Benji's about to turn up the heat.
Oh my god, bro.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
So you're really into plants, huh? I've got a bit of a green thumb myself.
Really? How fascinating.
It's not the only part of me that's turned green. I really should see a doctor.
I should really be going now.
Why does everything gotta take maximum effort?
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Man,
All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
it's worse than Namor's trunks in here.
Well, ain't this a fantastic mess we've gotten ourselves into, huh?
mission area is yours to capture now.
I don't fear pain.
Capture the mission area!
I guess they just disregard my team. They're actually just too bad at the game. It's not nothing to do. Nothing I could do to protect them. They're too bad at the game. They're actually just too bad at the game.
Dragon punch!
Terrible. Like, why are you with Orion?
Behold! That child!
Their stupid faces!
Shake it up!
Your team's capture progress has passed the halfway point. Pull up time!
Magneto!
Much better.
Stick around.
Seized! Double KO!
Should have broke before you leapt, cat.
Commendable effort. Armed and dangerous!
We are undefeatable!
Judge, jury, executioner!
Oh, my team is.
Crimson Chain!
My mission isn't over yet.
Control lost! They've almost got it!
Fall back! For mutant kind! Fall back!
Line and tracer!
Retreat!
Mark my prey!
You guys are garbage. You suck.
And you don't.
Well, you can't expect to win them all.
Trash as fuck. Trash as fuck. Actually, just don't realize it's like a delusion. Everybody's delusional. If y'all are bothered, I'm probably bad. You niggas are horrible. I would say I'm above average. You niggas are terrible. You should stop playing. I don't think you can be good.
The right heroes could make all the difference.
Once.
Meow.
Think they can get away from me.
How cute. They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
I've been told on numerous occasions that I would make a wonderful spy. Sorry, Miss Hardy. Tiger Division operatives go through a rigorous screening process. You'd never make it past round 1. Don't be so sure, Foxy. A little bit of charm goes a long way.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1!
No, I can trust. And you're not on the list.
I am not the man I used to be. I have found a greater cause. The unprotected.
Chase down that vehicle!
Mark my prey!
I got hit! Better already! You're all mine! My fortune's rising!
Let's finish! They figured half me! Stop them!
Not so lucky!
You're all mine!
A little luck!
You stopped them in their tracks!
Mark my prey! A small fortune!
Back, guys.
Mark my prey! My luck's improving.
Line and tracer!
Could've been luckier.
My fortune's rising!
Let's make a deal.
Mark my prey! You're all mine!
Yo soy el final.
I wish we had. I can go down. Like,
Damn it, never fall. Much better.
like you niggas don't have any aggro. Like you're pussy. You're on Hawkeye, you're pussy. You need a king to hold you up. You're on Hawkeye. You can't do anything.
There's still a chance to stop them!
I am ready to put on a show!
Just give me a challenge. Heads up. Back, guys.
Go time!
Again!
Look how hard it's
Stop them in their tracks!
Don't let them do this, Tandy.
all there to not give me a lead.
Only 60 seconds left!
Yo soy el final.
Target neutralized.
You stopped them in their tracks!
That's what I needed.
Approach this site with caution. Approach this site with caution.
We got
My mission isn't over. Hold the line.
Check your health, gang! World Stampede!
She's so lucky somebody. What is this?
Nowhere yet. Going to overtime.
Gone for good.
I am ready to put on a show!
Getting stronger. Armed and dangerous.
Disappear!
They hit a checkpoint. Now might be a good time to stop them.
This is like the new one. You're selfish. Your character sucks.
Your boy Benji's about to turn up the heat.
Your character sucks and you're still playing it. They have triple support, dickhead. Get off Hawkeye. You suck, bro. Why are you on this game? Fuck on
What's up? Better stop that vehicle!
There's a bad guys.
They've made it halfway! Stop them!
Yikes, that's hot.
Where's my help? Where's my help? Fucking ass bastards, bro. Nah,
Goodbye,
I hate
Hawkeye.
I hate
I feel
Hawkeye.
fantastic.
Fucking useless.
Better
fuck.
stop that vehicle! There's still a chance to stop them!
Damn it, never fall. It's robbery time. Flame on.
Only 60 seconds left.
Vulnerable than ever.
They go. Look at Angela.
I am ready to put on a show!
Yo soy el final.
The final 10 seconds! Nowhere yet. Going to overtime. They hit a checkpoint. Now might be a good time to stop them.
Oh god. Dog shit ass character, bro. I should every time I see a Hawkeye Prince, bro, just play the whole game.
Let's rumble.
Fucking Hawkeye.
Better stop that vehicle!
Look at what they're able to do for the fucking Hawkeye.
Robbery time. It's robbery time.
Same thing.
Yikes, that's hot.
Selfish
Nice show,
motherfucker.
Jubilee! Glad to help! Help! So cold!
Exact same thing. Selfish motherfucker.
You stopped them in their tracks!
Here, here, here he comes.
Only 60 seconds left. Now or never. Stop them. Better stop that vehicle. Down to 30 seconds. Disappear! Don't give them another inch. Or else. The final 10 seconds. Are you ready to put on a show? Time. Come on, time.
You cannot hurt me. The thing ain't going nowhere. Takes that time. It's clobbering time!
That's 3. You got them all. Another epic victory. Big win.
Motherfucker was the champion.
The right heroes could make all the difference.
I'm not anyone's sidekick. What I do is best.
We are Venom. You are insignificant.
Meow.
We are Venom. You are insignificant. Let us suck the marrow from their bones.
They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
You're one hell of a thief. Ever think of teaming up with someone who will let you embrace who you really are?
Already have. Her name Rogue, but you can call her Mrs. LeBeau.
Well, when the honeymoon's over and you're looking for your next score, you know who to call.
May we? Anyone?
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You have to stop them from securing the mission area.
Just who Gambit was looking for.
A little help, please.
Mon Dieu, Nether.
This spot concerns us.
Double kill!
Lucky we're here.
Darkly paired. A futile attempt.
Back to full strength.
Out of control. There you are.
Vortex field! Psionic cyber!
Let me return the favor.
invisible?
Us against the world!
Turn around! They're sneaking up on us!
You thought we were done?
Fantastic! Ha ha! Ha! Ha ha! Whoa! Ha ha! Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
We could get used to working together.
Diamond and Snow!
Bring them life!
Over here.
Back to full strength.
Head on a swivel! Up with hand!
What am I? Invisible?
Got me good!
Us against the world! Shields up! You are double KO!
Another fearsome foe.
Down to 30 seconds!
Time's running out. No giving up now. I'm out of control.
Bring them life!
The final 10 seconds!
Yo, you kidding me? What are you doing back there? I think
No winner yet. Going to overtime!
Born again! You hunt well for your age,
Another epic victory!
Oh shit. That's a fucking dive. I jump up on fucking Warlock and wish him to see it all for me. I mean, he kills too quick. He kills too quick, of course. I mean, his kid is fucking ridiculous for like he's trying to play the game. He's not playing rank.
There's still a chance to stop them! They've made it halfway! Stop them!
Nice to know I haven't lost my hunter's instinct after all these years.
They hit a checkpoint! Now might be a good time to stop them. Better stop that vehicle!
Here comes trouble!
It's now or never! Stop them!
Real hard.
Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man! One down. Get away!
Yo soy el final!
That's 3!
Okay, hitting real hard.
Don't roll these progressions.
Don't give them another inch! Or else!
Yo, bro, one time.
No! Please don't go down this easy!
Holding so soon, Remy? Really? City duck. Armed and dangerous!
How the fuck did that miss?
Well, you can't expect them all.
Oh, wait, is that moving icon? Oh, God. How do you get that far in and not look at this? I'm don't feel like this is good.
You'll need a top-notch team to win this one.
They call me D-Tong now. I'm not anyone's sidekick. What I do is best done alone. Nice to know I haven't lost my hunter's instinct after all these years.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready. The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
We sure a long way from the Big Easy.
Shadow! Это Скай!
Ain't no fucking way. I didn't even know they had
Time for some fireworks.
actual fucking,
Been knocked down
actual
before.
genuine
Doesn't
fucking
last.
loser. QG fucking pennies, bro.
Let's watch the spot! There you are! Here come las arañas robóticas!
Careful.
All eyes on these coordinates.
Remy, sugar, I can't feel you.
Nothing personal.
That's 3.
Sugar, I got you.
Wow, 4 in a row.
Withdraw. Don't rush. Widow strike.
Armed and dead!
What did I do?
A gal can never be too
You thought I
healthy.
was gone for good.
What did I do?
Race
nigga can't
Oblivion! Yeah, Magneto!
really stop this.
You're halfway there. Keep going.
Taking it all.
A different country, win it! Hey!
Look, I'm just about to lose. Damn it. Oh, what even is this shit?
Us against the world.
That's when they
Spamming my ability to stay alive. Might have to know.
Get that vehicle moving again.
Sniper, right there.
You're that Watch the spot!
The moon haunts you!
It's Spider Time!
This guy's a fucking coward. He's a fucking coward. I'm mad, bro. I don't have a front line.
It's just
they
Luna
can't get
Snow
out.
over here.
They actually can't. Y'all don't notice it. Can you not notice that you can't off road?
Get that vehicle moving again!
Can you not notice that you can't off road?
No escaping us now.
That you're still doing it.
Through the void! Chaos Blade! You should have moved when you had the chance.
Double KO!
You hired the right crew for this gig, Panther. We got you.
Chaos Blade! Your attacks are futile.
Oblivion!
I'm easy to hit you.
Magneto!
Look up behind you.
Vehicle reached a checkpoint. Keep up the momentum. Up against the world!
Insignificant mass. Chaos Blade! I feel like myself again.
Hired the right crew for this gig.
Busted up Moon Knight arms nice and good.
Chaos Blade!
Taking it.
The moon haunts you!
You are under my protection.
Behind you. Locking the whole shield thing.
Someone has us
Magneto!
Chaos Blade! I feel like myself again.
That's it! Don't let anything stand in your way.
Over here.
When the
I can
Wakanda
heal
called,
you.
Krakoa answered. So I'm told.
Once I am free from this darkness, I shall have my revenge on Null.
Esta me cae.
So close! Your big chance!
The Punisher
A
entered
nice
turret.
deep freeze.
Insignificant mass.
You don't want to play no more.
Another
You didn't want to
epic
play no
victory!
more.
Big win!
Jerry, no! Jerry, stop this. That is crazy. What did I do? I mean, I couldn't even do shit because of the fucking... And when I ran back on the dude, on the other teammates, it was fucking tripping. Like, they were just saying that to some words. I can't even talk to you. Gay? That gets you fucking gay is bad.
With
What, we're gay? It said something. Said something about. What? Oh, we gay or something?
That's all your content, bro.
The right heroes can make all the
I'm
difference.
about to show you how a simple interaction with a girl caused her boyfriend to completely crash out.
Do you want me to call my husband right now and have him come over here?
You're not gonna do what you've been doing with her all the time, my guy, okay? That's what I'm gonna tell you right now. And don't go anywhere because this gets insane. And if this video hits 1 like, I'll do whatever the top comment says. Yo, what's good? Fire shit. What's up with you? You good?
I'm good. How about yourself?
What's your name is, sugar?
Gracie, but good luck with that.
Whoa, where you going though? Where you going, man?
I finished.
I know, but I'm trying to like holler at you, like say what up to you and shit. You want to take my phone number? Come over my house later? Taylor Swift performing at my crib.
No, I'm married.
You know how many girls I had tell me they married?
Stay strong.
The first moment.
Oh, I see those fangs,
Mild
kid.
temperature.
Don't buy
An owl turns its head to stare through our window as we awaken. It was 8:58 a.m. on a Tuesday, and once again, it was the sounds of violent seizing on the floor by my bed that awoke me. Stumbling in a stupor to cradle my wife's head and
battle
soothe
starts
her
in
as her
5,
eyes rolled back
4,
and joints
3,
locked and pulled
2,
while her mouth foamed
1.
was tough. Finding the opening in her mouth to administer her rescue medication, midazolam, watching the paste coat her gums, and hoping that it'll settle her while assuring her I loved her and didn't mean to hurt her was always harder. Then came the grunts, the dismal groans as her back arched and her shoulders rolled before her breathing grew slower, labored, and she entered a state not dissimilar to dreaming, but without waking up. Blue flashing lights, paramedics gently moving me aside to administer oxygen and prep her to move to the ambulance. The long drive to the hospital, the slow but steady come around with confusion, and the doctors with well-meaning smiles and pats on the shoulder, assuring me in a calm, collected, and distant tone, "You're doing the best you can, given the circumstances." Somewhere in that hospital ward, I would always see a flicker of something in the darker parts of the halls. Shadows clinging to the last vestiges of darkness that the powerful fluorescent lights could not reach. Never enough to warrant panic, but plenty to invite dread into my body, and let it nestle there while I smiled, thanked the doctor, and packed up my wife's things, knowing I'd be back before long, knowing it'd only get worse from here. Amelia is sick. That much is obvious to you all by this point. We'd been having a spirited nerve war in our newly purchased home as a newly hitched couple, fully within the throes of love and in the honeymoon phase of our relationship that had lasted 7.5 blissful years so far. She lost her footing, stumbled and slurred something before smashing her head on the coffee table and seizing on the floor. For as long as I live, I will not forget the image of her face frozen in total neutrality as her brain bled, nor the sound her skull made as it collided with the mahogany. Doctors would conclude it was a stroke, but the genuine terror lay in their subsequent tests. The stern faces, a high-quality scan showcasing a highlighted mass dripping into the soft flesh of her brain. Amelia has glioblastoma, aggressive glioblastoma. It grows silent, muted in the office as we listen to the doctor run through options of treatment and palliative care. She talks about various kinds of radiotherapy, surgeries with enormous risks, and pills to manage the suffering. I can read her lips, but the tone escapes me. A hum has crept into the room, and the darkness fills the corner of my vision, like someone is pouring oil into my eye sockets. I feel something put stiff hands on my shoulder and my skin bristles. Before I can react, Amelia's hand is in mine as she speaks.
No, I won't be needing treatment. We'll do this our own way. Thank you.
She stands up, gently nods in the doctor's direction, and heads for the door. I see the doctor's glasses fog over, and she grabs my wrist suddenly as I leave. Her bottom lip trembling as she extends a small card, telling me that if she doesn't want treatment, that's fine, but I could still do something for her, from something she called their extensions branch. I don't have the ability to respond. I merely nod, place the card in my pocket, and take her soft hand as we exit the office. My eyes fixated on her hair tied into blonde and pink space buns as she walks with purpose in her step, humming to herself. It's funny what you focus on when the world falls around you, but it doesn't grant you respite from the uncomfortable truth laid bare before you. Amelia has mere months to live. My wonderful, one-of-a-kind wife has months to live. The second. Dark clouds, rain batters the windows, failing to deter a black beetle that crawls across our windowsill. Steadfast in his job that remains unknown to us. His iridescent shell glistening in the faint light of my bedside cabinet, gripping a small twig in its mandibles. I carefully pick him up and deposit him into an old shoe until the rain passes. Dedication should always be rewarded. Everyone talks about how their loved one lights up a room when they walk in, or it is the life of the party, or some other extroverted phrase. But that has never been Amelia. She's always been a woman with two sides to herself. The calm, collected, and dignified side that the outside world sees. One where she can keep people at arm's length and ensure she never has to be more than a wallflower if she so wishes. Then there's the side I, family, and limited loved ones know. The rambunctious, witty, eccentric woman who spent her life going through phases of interest in so many subjects that it makes an ordinary guy like me have his head spinning. From cryptozoology to architecture and Roman history, Amelia dove in head first and allowed herself to be absorbed by the rich tapestry of knowledge. regaling me with all her findings during the day, and sometimes even acting out fun plays or activities from the time periods and subjects. It was never a dull moment with her. The first year I met her, she was a lover of surrealist films, art, and music. We bonded over my Twin Peaks hat and a love of vocalist Mike Patton. Spent our first date watching Eraserhead before she took my hand in hers and told me,
This is it, Jasper. I no longer need to search.
And by God, if I didn't believe her. I want you to understand who she is, what she means to me. Because otherwise, I fear my decision-making the past 9 months will not fully be appreciated, or worse, scorned. The first month involved a lot of pent-up emotions on my end, and stoic optimism on hers. She was always a spiritual person who ostensibly believed that while there was no particular God who would answer her prayers, that we didn't come to Sturgeon for nothing, and she trusted in the powers that be to determine what would happen next. Easy for her to say when she wasn't the one witnessing the steady decline of the one she loved. Countless days spent watching her muscles weaken, her cognitive abilities grow worse, and her memory falter. Never did I think I'd be telling my 32-year-old wife that I was her husband, and not an intruder that she needed to fear, nor a teacher coming to discipline her. Those nights were the hardest on us both. I slipped out one evening when her diazepam had knocked her out for the night, and while sobbing in the car, punching my steering wheel as the heavy rain muffled my cries, I remembered the card I'd been given. Black, red velvet letters that danced off beautifully crafted stationery. A small lotus flower on one side, a painted skull on the other. A simple question adorning the top of the card.
The right heroes can make all the difference.
I swallowed, wiping my face free of tears and scoffing at the notion. Who doesn't? Beneath the question was an address and the title of the business card. Dr. D.D.'s Life Extension Service, a proud subsidiary of St. Martin's Hospital. Finally, what I assumed the motto with an official medical seal affixed at the bottom. Moments are finite, but memories are infinite. That was all I needed in order to make the trip. I had nothing else to lose. I took one look out the window at the silent bedroom where my wonderful wife slept, hopefully and peacefully. I called my mother-in-law and asked her to keep watch.
How cute.
Said I had to make a pickup for Amelia's new meds and jetted off into the night. The trip was a blur. I spent the entire time with fingers drumming the steering wheel to a beat only I could hear. Lights flashing by like checkpoints on a racetrack as I hurtled down the main roads until a small sign jutted out of an intersection. Myopic Road, south. Sturgeon Central, northwest. Dr. D.D.'s Life Extension Service, east, 2 miles. Turning my car onto the dimly lit street, I knew that no matter what I encountered or trials I faced, it would be worth the effort. If it means giving Amelia more time, anything else. The converted shipping container sat in the center of a large clearing that I assumed was once a parking lot. Rust still steadily overtook the sides of the structure. White paint interspersed with bright red lettering, and a neon sign flashing its availability if the building and parking lot area lit. But the greater area was still enshrouded in a thick darkness that felt far too imposing for its own good. Still, I was determined, and no amount of threatening aura would deter me. I parked the car and stepped towards the small door affixed to the side like a sewn-on appendage. A splinterless wooden material with black and gold patterns swirling in on themselves, coalescing at the center where a peephole and a large door knocker sat. I sighed against the cold air and lifted it to knock before the door swung open, and a man beamed at me from behind a pair of circular sunglasses and a modified plague mask.
Ah, you're here for the pierogi?
His voice was soft, pleasant, and inviting, a smell of cinnamon and ginseng wafting from the interior. No, I'm here for it.
Of course. Nobody is ever here for the pierogi anymore. Mrs. Langston always gets the most customers. Last time I ever shared a recipe in the community amateur cooking. I know what you're here for, Mr. Lambert. Come on in and sit in any seat you like.
He hastily shut the door behind me before hurrying off to the far end of the container, where a stack of shelves and books sat, before I could even ask him how he knew. Instead, I turned my attention to the consultation area he'd compiled, where, predictably, just one chair sat opposite to his.
What is your spouse's affliction?
He called, muttering occasionally.
No, not that one. Maybe this?
While busy hands rummaged for unseen concoctions, I realized I hadn't even said it out loud to another soul since she got diagnosed. Glioblastoma, stage 4. She has at best 3 months. The words spilled out of my mouth like ash, the bitterness on my tongue enough to make me vomit with anger.
I see. What makes your wife happiest?
He held a blue beaker up to the light, and something behind his thick circular shades glistened before he shrugged and cast it aside. When I didn't know how to respond, he tilted his head back.
This works if I understand your connection. I mean, really understand it. So please, humor me.
Well, I mean, she loves to travel. Strawberry ice cream, rainy days, and...
No. What makes her truly happy? This is your wife, not a bio on a corporate profile.
I thought for a moment, and my legs started shaking. Nowadays, it's the first precious minutes or hours before sickness overwhelms her that she can think, be coherent, and be her normal self. When she wakes up, she's strong enough in mind and body to cut her bonsai tree in place. She spends time with her lizards and even talks to them. She's not burdened by the pain, the vomiting, or the notion that at any given moment she could drop to the floor and into a world where she's alone, vulnerable, and unable to get help. Her happiness comes from the luxury of not thinking about death for a time, but before I can see the image burned into my head. Not a memory, but a moment that would never come to pass. An event so desperate to bring itself into existence, and yet undeniably so far from my grasp. It was the prospect of becoming a mother. I swallowed and felt shards puncture my throat. I hated this. The doctor found what he was looking for, and with a book in hand, walked over to the desk, placing the potion and book down in front of me as he sighed.
I see. And what would you give up to ensure that happiness endures?
He placed his hands together in front of me pensively and studied me as I shifted in my seat. Anything. I would give anything to see her better, to have more time to carve out a niche for us. I'm not ready. She is not ready. He tilted his head to the side and tapped his index fingers together.
You're sure? Have you discussed this with her? I don't think I need to point out that this extension plan is not orthodox, Mr. Lambert.
Nothing in Sturgeon is orthodox, Doc. But no, I haven't discussed it with her. Right now, Amelia can't tell day from night some days, and others are spent keeping it together long enough to make those good days mean something. She doesn't need to add more to her plate. It's my job to help her, and that's what I'll do, come hell or high water. There was a pause. His hands lowered, and he opened the thick leather tome to a specific page, turning it towards me and gesturing for my hand. Upon handing it to me, he pricked my finger.
Last question. What scares you, Jasper?
His hands were ice cold, and he didn't release his grip on my wrist, but a steeled resolve and months of emotional toil had taken their toll. I knew coming here was a risk. Nothing except losing her before we're ready. I replied flatly. His cheekbones rose, and I could sense a smile behind the mask as he let go and gestured to look at the book. It was a life extension contract.
Once you sign on that dotted line, you will fear everything. If you wish to extend Amelia's life, you will give up your sense of security. This contract lasts for 1 month, and during that time she will feel reinvigorated and will appear well. But once you reach the 30th day, she will deteriorate once more and your time will be up. That should be enough time to sort out your affairs. But if it's not, well, we can renegotiate. And perhaps you'll want some pierogi then.
What did I have to lose? A month of normalcy and a chance to do everything we wanted? How could I turn that down for something as inconsequential as my own fears? No price was too high. I sighed and snapped the book shut. startling me in my seat and staring for a moment, leaning down and peering into my eyes. Was he always this tall? This imposing? What did he see when he looked at me? I felt like a guinea pig in a lab, ready to be pricked and prodded for all manner of horrible things, and sweat ran down my brow in those tense moments before the hidden smile flashed up on his cheekbones, and he handed me a vial of blue liquid.
Good. Our contract has begun, and this is what you'll need. Simply add it into whatever Amelia drinks or eats, and you'll see results within the hour. While you'll feel the effects immediately, hers will not start until after ingestion. I'll even be kind and wait until she's eaten to start the month. But only if you take my pierogi recipe.
He held up a finger and chuckled. Why was he so obsessed with this food?
Hello there.
Did he do something to it? What's in the recipe? My stupid mouth blurted out before I could stop my tongue wagging, and he laughed harder. I'm sure that to him it was jovial and pleasant, but it screamed malice to me.
Oh, that would be telling.
He wagged his finger and said goodbye as I hurried to the door. The black void outside no more inviting than his workshop of horrors. What unseen monsters lurked in the dark, waiting to get me? Even as I ran to the car some 30 feet away, I felt invisible hands reach out to grab at my shirt, pull at my ankles, and tear at my skin just for a bite of my flesh. But they never caught up. No, I'm too fast for that. I locked my doors and raced home to beat the sunrise, triple bolting the front door and checking every window upon arrival and putting the blue liquid into Amelia's morning juice. Here's to hoping I didn't just give up more than I could afford for nothing in return. The third month. Clear skies exposing a scorching sun. Bright rays seeping through the window, a soft breeze bringing the smell of barbecues and log fires on the wind. In the nearby lake, a crane bird flies down to take a drink. Something emerges from a wound in its throat, pushing at the slit to get free. It feels like it's looking at me. In the foreground, a sea of black clouds roll in, bringing with them a sense of intense dread. Despite this dread, the sun's presence will not be denied, and the familiar warmth it brought was just as much a comfort. The first thing that shocked me out of my stupor was the door being kicked in, a deafening boom that shattered my eardrums and sent my heart into overdrive. The fear of someone coming to take me away from Amelia, or worse, take Amelia to a home and away from my care, a place for her to die alone and afraid. Instead, as frantic eyes turn toward the front door to see my attacker, I see Amelia. She's fully dressed, dungarees with one strap exposing the colorful polka dot top, and her beautiful hair cascading down her shoulders. The tops of her fringe held up by a pair of oversized goggles, and her favorite chameleon, Gustav, on her shoulder. She was beaming at me with the most boyish grin I'd ever seen on her. A Nerf gun pointed directly at me.
Wake up, maggot! The sun is shining and it's time for a Nerf war! It's a new day, yes it is!
She giggled, and I felt my heart swell with joy as my fear gave way to adulation. She was better. It worked. I pushed innate fears down into my core and forced a smile as I leapt out of bed, grabbing a Nerf gun and giving her a 30-second head start. 29 years old and I still acted like a child hopped up on sugar, but I guess that's what love is at its core, feeling perpetually young. I heard her dash away, bare feet slapping against the cedar flooring as she found a tactical advantage. Within a few seconds, the house fell silent. Traipsing through the house and spying any advantage points, I began to see the home I've lived in with her for years in a completely different light. Maybe it was the lack of natural lighting, perhaps I was still tired, but I did not recall there being so many imposing structures and shapes in my living room. A coat rack shaped like a twisted, elongated assembly of a man, his arms pulling at his own spine, his jagged feet stuck out in a menacing attempt to catch me, but frozen in time. The creaks and groans of a house settling now akin to the grumblings of a stomach possessed by an ancient, malignant creature that wanted nothing more than to digest us whole. But it was the shape behind the curtains that caught my attention most, bulbous and plump. It danced behind the fabric and invited me to investigate further, beckoning me with giggles punctuated with wheezes. It sounded wrong. The lump in my throat threatened to choke me from the tension, and I had no choice but to move forward. Shaking, hand outstretched to grab the fabric and yank it aside, I felt a sharp pang in my back and howling laughter from behind me as Amelia doubled over and ran off, daring me to catch her. When I turned back, the curtain had returned to its normal shape. I stood there, dumbfounded for a moment, as my fear dampened and a tension headache took its place. Amelia walked up to put her hand on my shoulder and the other against my forehead. Her smile faded and was replaced with concern.
Hey, you feeling okay? I know that's funny for me to ask, but...
I said nothing. How could I? This was not
The
my
right
moment
heroes
to
could
need
make
care
all
and
the
sympathy.
difference.
This was hers, and she deserved every ounce of it. But that didn't change the overwhelming dread, and exhaustion took its place. I didn't realize how utterly tired I was until I truly took in the events around me. Playing games with my terminally ill wife, who not 3 days prior had been bedridden and unable to tell me what year it was.
No timeline
I pulled
exists
her into
where
a long
Magneto
hug and
yields.
sobbed into her shoulder as she soothed me, running her hands through my hair and whispering reassurances.
It's all right. It's really me. I guess these meds worked wonders, huh?
I feel
Let's enjoy the time we have, okay?
I nodded and let her calming smell linger, steadying my body even
They'll
as
be
the
coming in
energy
30
dissipated
seconds.
from me.
Stay strong.
Things crawl into hell's mouth eventually.
I know you think that cape you found is your ticket to a
It's
better
just a
life.
matter of how much you seize.
You don't know me, Aranya. Stop acting like we...
Something pushed its way into my ear, hot, slimy, and burning my flesh as I pushed with everything I had to get away. Unable to fully break free, my eyes are directed towards the floor where Amelia's feet stand. But the decay, rot, and bloated flesh peering back up at me barely resembled the maintained and dainty feet of my wife. These were clearly belonging to that of a corpse. The nails yellowing, peeling away from the toes, bone pushing up to the thinning skin with such force it split the flesh. Before I could press my fingers against the rot to consider my own sanity, my body failed me, and the world faded to black. When I next awoke, it was to the darkness of the bedroom and a cold rag on my head. Amelia told me I passed out and had a fever, but that she was happy to have the roles switched for once. I couldn't even speak for the pain. Just hearing her talk was enough to soothe me. Eventually the fever would break, and I finally allowed the impossible to set in with one question.
Amelia, what do you want to do with the time we have?
She stopped what she was doing and looked at me with all the warmth and love a human being could muster, as if she'd been given the keys to the kingdom.
Spend it like it's going out of style.
So it went. 29 days of doing things we knew she couldn't do before and would struggle to do after. We binged the later series of Twin Peaks and found it wanting. We traveled to the edge of Sturgeon after hearing rumors of the best damn gelato you'd get in this or any other dimension. We evened our Nerf War score and vowed the war would continue on. We loved unconditionally and without fear of what came after the 3 glorious weeks. As I got more comfortable, I could deny all the things at the corner of my vision, shrug off the night terrors when I awoke in her arms and knew she was safe. Anger was no longer a source of comfort in quiet nights of pontificating over her condition. Now it was replaced with contentment. Then, on the morning of the 30th day, she began slurring her words. By the afternoon, her balance was waning, and she fell into my arms some inches from the doomed coffee table that her skull collided with previously. When dinner came around, she forgot how to cook a steak and nearly burned herself in the process. Shame written across her face as she slumped away to bed and cried. As the night gave way to dawn and we reached day 31, she had a seizure. The dream was shattered, and we were once again back where we started, but now with the added pain of what could have been ripped away to expose a fresh and sensitive wound. Throw in the fear of everything around me, I was at a breaking point. I looked at her in bed, a fragile thing with her face looking closer to 42 than 32, as her body tried and failed to fight off the damage being wrought from within. She was decaying before my very eyes, and that scared me more than any door slam, errant tree branch looking like a malformed fist, or strange thing floating in my eye. There was no other option. You have to understand. I had to go back to Dee Dee's and renegotiate the extension plan. It didn't matter that every tree on my frantic drive there seemed to lean forward. The night sky became less visible. A tunnel of bark with me none the wiser of what's on the other side. It didn't matter that the whispers that had been lingering in my ear for weeks were now subdued shrieks and threats of what will happen if I continue to ignore them. It didn't matter that something was hiding behind every single telephone pole, and I was catching more of its shape with every glance behind me as the road thinned out. All that matters is Amelia. You'd do the same in my shoes, right? Even if the next 3 months were hell. The fourth month. Hail spits from the skies, and thunderclaps sound like great oaks crashing around my home. Giant footsteps tentatively growing closer and threatening to uproot my home at a moment's notice the second I let my guard down and take Amelia to the depths of the blackened skies. I see a snake in the underbrush outside of my yard, biting on his tail. I call my dad, and after some profuse apologies for the late-night inconvenience, he agrees to watch over Amelia while I go to renegotiate. I can see the sympathy written across the smile lines on his aged face. Forever an empathetic man, he was good to turn to for advice, but not for this.
Son, if you need to go somewhere to blow off some steam and let it all out, you know it's healthy, right? Nobody will judge you.
He trails off as we stand in my living room.
A man shouldn't watch his true love go like this. Not so soon.
I know that, but I know she can beat this. We can get better, even just for a little while. He looks at me quizzically.
Good to have a
I tie the
partner to
knots
hunt
on
with
my
for
shoes
oneself.
with an added sense of determination.
Jasper, when it's time, it's time. You know, I got some pamphlets on how to cope. There's this one that talks about Kubler-Ross, and I think you're at stage
I stand up and hear my voice crack when I retort. The words acidic in my throat as they ooze past my lips. I know what stage I'm at. I'm at the stage of doing whatever it takes to make that woman comfortable as possible for as long as possible. Are you gonna help me or not? There was a silence, the weight of the words hanging in the air and fall on Dad's shoulders as he considers his response. Instead, he simply pulls me in for a hug and pats my back.
I get it, kid. A man's business is his own, and a good father or husband will always look out for his family. So when I tell you I'm here for you, warts and all.
He pulls me away and presses his forehead against mine, his composure waning.
I mean it. Do what you gotta do. Come back here to help that amazing little lady.
I don't hear him the first time. My eyes shift to the divider connecting the living room to my kitchen. The fridge door opening. Why are there teeth in my fridge? No, wait. It's a mouth. A bright red mouth. Tongue rolling out and exposing a fiery pit in the impossible blackness.
This is where it all ends, Jasper. Your defiance has consequences.
A formless voice echoes around me, my skin bubbling and every hair standing on end. It felt wrong. Amelia will never go to such an ugly place. I won't allow it. I breathe, my dad not moving as everything seems to be frozen, save for the hellmouth that was once my fridge. It laughs, a hoarse reptilian cackle that makes my eyes vibrate in their sockets. The fridge mouth forms a head around it, red eyes and black fur with piercing fangs that protrude to the point of disbelief. Small spectral shapes funnel into the mouth, poked and prodded by an unseen tormentor.
It's not her who shall venture into the jaws of the beast, but you. She will watch your body crush in its mighty jaws.
It mocks, the mouth growing and filling me with an unspeakable dread, letting me know that this was a fight-or-flight moment. I shut my eyes, holding my dad for a moment and praying it would pass. It's for Amelia. I will suffer whatever the world hurls at me for her. A mantra I would keep in mind no matter what happened, terrified of what would happen when the words grow hollow. I counted back from 10, steadying my breathing.
She will die alone and afraid, kicking and screaming.
7 seconds. I could feel a low hum run through my flesh and puncture my muscles. Something was moving towards me.
You will never know how scared she was. Why?
3 seconds. Its hot, fetid breath bristled against my cheeks. It smelled of rot, lard, and sage.
Because that's what will hurt you the most.
I snapped my eyes open and found myself looking into my dad's kind eyes. A moment hadn't passed for him. I swallowed and backed away, nodding in appreciation and reluctant to share what I'd seen.
I'm gonna go check on her once more before I go.
I mumbled, running hands over tired eyes to wipe away sleep and unseen tears. Sure enough, she was fast asleep and heavily medicated, small chest rising and falling rhythmically as her eyes fluttered. I was thankful for her lack of awareness at this moment at least. One last glance at the fridge as I head outside, just for my own sake. It was normal, save for a small line running down the floor, looking not dissimilar to a claw mark. I found coping mechanisms as time went on to deal with the majority of my anxieties. I suppose most people do when under immense stress. Thankfully, mine weren't too damaging. Music and podcasts tended to be where my mind gravitated towards, and I'm told the former holds great sway over the minds here in Sturgeon. Personally, my favorite is Dusklight Radio. I constantly have it on in the background while driving around. You can't find a heartfelt moment without some accompanying tunes passers-by would remark. I suppose it's a good cushion, in a way, finding solitude in the crooning of a musician who sings about their own pains and struggles. We connect with their pain and in some way imagine it's our own being shared. I lost myself to the dulcet tones on the radio before pulling up at Dee Dee's, hammering on the door despite mounting concern of what I'd find inside.
It's open, Jasper. Let yourself in. I'm a little preoccupied right now.
That silky smooth voice was almost melodic in tone as I pushed on the latch and walked into the dark room filled with strange chemical lighting. On the large table opposite his apothecary was a strange, writhing beast. It hissed as I shut the door and set me with my back against the wall in shock. Beady black eyes fixed on me as a barbed tongue lashed around its head and a massive red fur caked the body. Small but powerful limbs fastened to the table. Dee Dee looked at me, and his cheekbones rise again as he relishes in my fear. The circular lenses around his eyes fog up with heavy breaths as he pulls on his leather gloves and reaches for something under the table.
Don't mind Meridew here. He's been rather...
He stabs the creature in the chest with a hypodermic needle and pushes on the plunger. A faint wheeze leaves the beast's mouth as its limbs grow limp and eyes fade.
Uncooperative. But a job is a job. Hopefully the baking club won't be too upset with me.
I feel sweat run down my brow as I try to mouth the words, "why," amid a sea of confusion. He picks up on it before I can intimate the words and sets about finding a potion on his vast bookshelf.
Well, sometimes people have disagreements. And sometimes those who feel wronged may make a pact with a creature that feeds off of negative energy until it can eat the withered husk. Those people are dicks. Meridew here.
He turns around and pries the creature's massive jaws apart, pouring a thick gunk down his gullet and forcing the mouth closed as the beast thrashes in protest.
He wasn't meant to be. I may be a fan of the Bakers Club, and in my humble opinion, the most experienced among them. But I have a job to do, and that involves getting this delightful fellow back to where he belongs. In his cozy enclosure at the Dusklight Circus.
The body relaxes, and he places a sleeping cap over its eyes. Seeing my shaken up form and gesturing to the usual spot on the table, chuckling.
Also, I wanted to see how your life with fear was faring with you. I take it you want to extend the deal, Jasper?
Unsteady legs took me to the chair, and I awkwardly nodded as he pulled out the great ledger from before. Flicking through at an expedient pace, I could still make out small indentations of clientele and numbers affixed to each person. A concoction in bold letters. How many deals has he made?
Jasper, I'm but a simple cook and problem fixer. Some call it dark magical potion selling, but all I offer is time. Temporary time.
He put his finger next to my name and tapped.
You are free to extend the negotiation, of course, but it comes with additional terms. I must warn you of what awaits you.
He sighs and walks to his window, staring out at the supermoon bathing Sturgeon in a faded yellow glow.
Is she worth it, Jasper? Is this what she would want?
His voice soft, sympathetic, filled with empathy and a hint of curiosity. I don't think she'd want to go yet. But is she worth it? What kind of question is that? She's worth everything. I felt my back straighten up and my chest puff out involuntarily. Just the notion that she somehow wasn't worth this was beyond my comprehension. It was offensive. Whatever you need to add to this, I don't care. We need more time. I can't stand to see her suffer like this. There has to be something, anything. But don't you ever imply she's not worth it. I'd rather live the next 40 years of my life in crippling fear with her than a single day without. He doesn't turn towards me, but I can sense he's satisfied with my answer as I slump back in the chair, still exhausted.
They've started talking to you, haven't they? You're becoming a conductor for them, and they're only going to get stronger and bolder the longer you're aware of them, you know.
I don't care. They can't have Amelia. They never will. I was defiant, steadfast in that much. He shook his head.
Jasper, they're not coming to take her away because she's dying. They're not body snatchers. They're coming for you because you're now a threat to them.
It dawns on him that I don't have a clue what he means. He grabs a small book and pulls it open, thumbing through the pages until he comes across a photo of a towering man with his arm outstretched, a helm made of bone and gold adorning his head, his torso covered by a toga, but the myriad of faces mixed in expressions of pain, pleasure, and rage impossible not to notice.
You took something from their king, something he was owed, and now he has sent his followers after you to protect his standing. People are not supposed to defy the natural order, Jasper.
Who is he? I breathed, staring at him, filling me with dread.
Nurgle, god king of the sunset and ruler of one of the underworlds of pestilence. I suppose he's gotten wise to my services and has sought to put things right in his own way. If you go down this road, Jasper, it will bring you pain.
He sat back down and turned the book over, a small needle with which to prick my finger, and the concoction sitting by his side.
Make sure this is what you want, because to extend it again, I will need to take your sense of ignorance. I will make you see more of what you're not supposed to see.
Will I be safe? I feel my neck tighten and my mouth go dry. He smiles again.
No, but you'll be happy. Isn't that the point?
He pulls a small charm from his pocket and puts it around my neck. It's old and heavy, but feels comforting.
So long as you keep this on you, they will not be able to physically harm you. Everything else is up to you.
He shakes his head, tutting.
60 days. That's all I can give you.
2 months, but what?
Because by the end of it, come hell or high water, you will beg me to cease the contract and life will go on.
He was blunt, to the point, detached.
I want you to come back in 1 month to check in, see where your head is at. With any luck, you'll want to end things early.
I signed before he could finish, knowing that I would savor every day I had with Amelia, even if my arms were torn from my body. I appreciate this, Doc. Amelia's going to be so happy, I just know it. My head buried in the book, I didn't notice the light changing.
Do me a favor, Jasper. Don't look at the moon when you leave. Better yet, don't look at it at all tonight. Now that you're unable to filter things or ignore them, it may be a little much for you. You might not like what you see.
I finished and attempted to quiz him on what he meant, but the light emanating from the window stopped me dead in my tracks and had me standing up on instinct. A sickly green had replaced the familiar yellow and was pulsating rhythmically, as if signaling to something. To me.
The last man who saw through the veneer of Sturgeon's barriers separating us from them had looked to the stars and realized the truth. I don't think you are quite ready for the same thing. So, no matter what you hear, do not look at the moon. Understand?
He kept his hands behind his back and returned to staring wistfully at it, letting his mind wander.
It is beautiful, though. My word.
What do you see when you look at it, Doc? He paused, and something in him twitched. Unnatural. Wrong.
Everything. Good luck, Jasper. Do watch your step on the way out. Our guest might wake up.
I took a sideways glance to Meridu, unmoving on the table, tongue still lazily swaying off the side, unfocused eyes staring in my direction. The drive home was tense. No music or podcasts. They just kept talking about the night sky and how the glow was good for the skin, especially when naked. They suggested we should all be naked in its magnificent glow and, if possible, grab other people to do it too. They started describing it, but the words turned to static in my ears, and eventually I just switched it off. It'll be fine. It's all for Amelia. I will suffer whatever the world hurls at me for her. I breathed, mantra doing its best to bring down my heart rate, eager to see her happy and healthy once more. Rounding off the bend and coming up my driveway, I catch sight of something slithering away from my view, scaly limbs pushing a sleek body quickly out of sight. I clenched my fist tight to stop my hands shaking and moved with purpose. The moment I crossed that threshold, I would not let my fear cripple me. Brave faces, everyone. I tried not to register the dull hum permeating through the house, the soft chanting with sinister lyrics, the way the light flickered as I turned a corner to reveal a pale creature standing still, waiting. I smiled at my dad and shook his hand, and he said she'd been a treat to supervise. I didn't tell him that something was latched to his neck, worming its way through his ears and nibbling on his temples, repeating his deeds ad nauseum. I couldn't bear to tell him what it was saying, but I was thankful to know his mistakes as a young man from his own lips. Honesty kept our family alive, and it helped me save face in front of him as this parasite barked them out. Not that Dad would understand what was going on if he tried. He was a divorcee, and I was his only son. Grief was not something his adult life had experienced much. Heartbreak, depression, sure, but not grief. I saw him out and hastily put the concoction into Amelia's meal as I doom-scrolled on my phone. An ugly habit, but one that helped pass the time. A video memory popped up of us, one of those little reminders that Facebook loves to put in front of us that time is slowly slipping away moment by moment. We are getting older, and there's nothing we can do to stop its ceaseless march. I bet that sounded clever in my head, but out loud it sounds cynical and mean-spirited, which, given the circumstances, is permissible. Because as I look at the video of a younger me and Amelia, laughing and hosting a Twin Peaks watch party, I spy a pair of faces that I'd not seen in nearly a decade. Our best friends, Mariana and Caitlin, arm in arm and full of life, full of joy and love. They died on the way home from this party. Drunk driver hit them with the full force of his pickup. He lived, regrettably. A thought struck me like a bolt and stuck with me as I finished the mix, taking it to Amelia's room and resting in the armchair by her bedside so she could relax. Something that aged me and set about pushing my resolve to its absolute limits as the nature of morality hit me like a renewed wave. How many dead friends do I have on social media? The 5th month. Clear skies and a soft breeze. Flowers begin to bloom, and nature crawls out from the underbrush to proliferate. Everything grows, feeds, exists. Everything is in its place, and Amelia is better once more. She doesn't ask me how it's possible when she feels well enough mentally and physically to make her own lunch. She doesn't question it when she's able to go out for a long walk to the animal shelter and give the lonely dog some love. She just takes the moment with both hands and holds it close to her chest. In the small, quiet moments where the foul whispers can't reach me and things aren't protruding from every single crack and crevice to mock me, I can just enjoy her happiness. I take her on road trips to her favorite destinations. We do midnight movie drives so she can watch the Godzilla movies in anticipation of the final showdown she's almost certainly not going to see. But we don't focus on that. We just focus on what we have now. We talk more, a lot more. I tell her about my fears of what happens when she's gone. She listens and absorbs them, waiting until I've spilled out every ugly feeling in me and felt lighter for it. And then, one night, near the end of the month while lying in bed, desperately trying not to focus on the tree-like fists smashing against the windows to get my attention, I ask her a question. What would you do if you could just stay here forever? like this. She stares, and her eyes seem to twinkle in the light.
How important is this to you, Jasper?
I didn't miss a beat in replying. It's everything. You, me, this time when you're not sick.
But I am sick, Jasper. I'm dying.
She responded calmly, collected. She was at peace. I know, but what if we could find a way to make you better? She got up, a feigned smile masking months of pain and turmoil.
Honey, I know this has been hard on you. Not knowing which version of me you'll get on any given day. Seeing me at my worst. But this is part of the journey. It's what I expected. You need to expect it too.
I tried biting my lip. This was all for her. The suffering was all for her. In hindsight, this was a stupid thing to say, but I was tired. I was immature. The trees outside craned their necks through the window to observe, sap dripping from their makeshift jaws. You don't want to leave me on my own? You wouldn't even try to change things if you could? What about alternative medicine, cutting-edge technology? What if you can make a deal that would give you more time? How could you just think of yourself? Immediate regret. The moment that question left me and shot its way to her ears, I knew I'd messed up. I was expecting, maybe even hoping for an argument that was filled with expletives, bitter words, and regretful criticisms. But no, Amelia was beyond that. She turned to look at me with tears in her eyes and her shoulders shaking. I can see the strange insects crawling all over the tree bark, rotting it with their spit and looking for ways to get inside the house.
What you want is not as important as how we process this. You are not the one dying, Jasper. You are not the one waking up and not knowing if you'll be able to go to the bathroom on your own, if you'll know what the word food means, if you'll even remember who you are. It's selfish to leave you alone? You don't think I know that? You don't think I feel immeasurable guilt when I'm permitted to be lucid by this stupid disease? I want to spend every moment of freedom I have left in joy, without fear of what it does for you after I'm gone until we reach the end. My exit ticket has been punched, Jasper. I know when I'll be gone. It's up to you to figure out that lack long after.
She sank against the wall, pulling at her hair and red-faced.
I just want us to be happy. I just want to go out of this world with...
She sank down, eyes glazing over as I tried to find words of comfort, the light in the room dimming a tad. I already knew why. I didn't pay any attention to the creatures skittering across the walls, sucking out the light and the remaining positive energy from the room, determined to gain a foothold. I can hear them hiss in my ears, encouraging me to push Amelia further. I won't let you go. I will fight to the bitter end because that's what a life partner does. I replied solemnly, crouching down in front of her. I'm just not ready to throw in the towel, Amelia. I see a life ahead of us that has not yet been traveled. I'm determined to find a pathway there, and who knows, maybe I've found one. I gently put my hand on the side of her head, brushing tears aside to comfort her. But confused and frantic eyes looked up at me, eyes filled with fear and the instinct to fight or flight. In this moment, I'd let my guard down and forgotten exactly what she'd been saying this entire time as the bugs shriek a chorus of their warning calls. Amelia was sick. She was fearful of which version would come up when she woke every day. I had gotten too comfortable, too caught up in my fantasy of her being fine, not giving her more of the concoction. And it was the end of the month. She said nothing, just growled. Her teeth gritted, and she headbutted me with her full force as she pushed me to the ground and followed it up with a swift kick to send me into unconsciousness. The 6th month. Darkness, heavy winds, and a bitter chill. My first memory following untold time and total absence is finishing the dream of a sky burial. Not for Amelia, but for myself. I feel the weight of my body on the shoulders of those I love as they slowly, methodically, and carefully take my still warm corpse up a steep mountain. I somehow feel the lick of the cold air and the refreshing sensation of it filling my lungs as we ascend. They lay me down on the peak in a small bed of hay, the sun reaching its zenith as soft chanting fills the small clearing with passions long since dissipated from my consciousness. Vultures come down and tear at my flesh, swallowing me like carrion, taking me into the sky, away from my problems. Something resembling my eye looks down and sees Amelia, safe and healthy, arms wrapped around a child that looks like. I was awakened with a force on my chest, burning on my skin and a splitting headache. The sky outside a clear blue, a momentary respite before my memory kicked in. My nose feels broken, and I can feel a huge bruise forming on my cheek where she kicked me. She may be small and sickly, but that woman had energy. The house was an absolute mess. Papers had been torn out of books and strewn across the floor. The lights were almost all absent, save for the kitchen light. Spilled food and drinks helped form a trail of carnage as I stumbled around the house, looking for Amelia and hoping she was all right. The bugs had changed their shriek to a low vibration of their wings that formed two consonants, easily discernible to my now overly aware ears. Nurgle. Did this mean? A single note had been placed on the countertop, clean save for the small glasses of blue liquid filled halfway and positioned in a circle around the note in the center. A small passage from a history book next to it. The passage detailed a bridge from mythology that once you crossed it, you could never return. It's a one-way passage for all souls either dead, dying, or seeking respite to the next world, guarded by an underworld king who coveted his domain like no other, known to send out emissaries to claim souls who resisted or those who sought to disrupt the order. Affixed to the bottom of the passage was a small pin on the Sturgeon map, showing one of our large bridges between the metropolitan area and Mantis Ranch, the Golgotha Passage. The note had 6 words that scared me more than anything my unfiltered eyes could sense, more than any consequences for my actions. It sent me rushing to the car in a blind panic of where to go first, to JJ for advice or to the Golgotha Bridge for absolution. Scribed at the top in Amelia's familiar, beautiful cursive were the words,
"I'm sorry. I know."
And in scratchy, jagged writing beneath were 2 more that chilled me to my core. It's time. Without birth and death, and without the perpetual transmutation of all the forms of life, the world would be static, rhythmless, undancing, mummified. Alan Watts. I won't mince words. I messed up. The realization sank in that not only had Amelia figured out what I was doing, namely extending her life and giving her more time, but she was going to rectify it on her own, by letting Nurgle, a king of the underworld, take her across the Golgothan Bridge and claim her soul for good. I can't let that happen. Racing to Dee Dee's workshop, I found it somewhat easier to block out every terrifying thing that attempted to jump out at me or distract me. Sure, my palms were shaking, toes curled inwards to the point of straining them, and my throat was scratchy and swollen, but I was more scared of losing her than anything else. I didn't wait to get an answer. I barged through the door and came face to face with the creature Dee Dee had been operating on prior. Black beady eyes bulged and a sea of slobber caked my shirt as it leapt at me, trying to bite at any appendage it could find. "Jesus!" I cried, stumbling back, and the creature clamping its jaws down on my forearm. A pair of sharp incisors crushing the bone and something hot and acidic working its way through my veins. As I looked to find a place to punch at it and pull my arm free, I saw a small white in its eyes begin to grow larger, not dissimilar to how a cat's eye widens when about to kill its prey. Without thinking, I used what adrenaline I had to lift myself up, creature still attached and tearing at the skin, and throw my body weight into one swing that collided Meridu with the doorframe. The searing pain was drowned out by my own screams and that of the creatures as it let go and made a guttural noise as it tried to rebound. At that moment, Dee Dee reappeared, jolly as ever as he scooped up Meridu with total ease and, with it still thrashing in his arms, gave it the lightest tap on its skull with an ungloved hand and let it fall limp.
"Ah, I see you've got acquainted with Meridu. Don't worry, he's mostly harmless most of the time. Rehabilitation has been difficult because of the baking contest."
I don't let him finish. With everything I have, I swing a fist into the side of his Plague Doctor mask and shatter one of the circular frames in the process. I feel bone crunch under my knuckles, and his body falls with my fist, but he doesn't go to the floor. I'm not here for one of your whimsical games, Dee Dee. They took Amelia. She figured out what I was doing, and now she's going to be... I stared down at my shoes, vision blurring, and my bitten arm growing weak. But the anger inside me only rising with every moment of my own mounting failure. It's all your fault! I swung again, but this time he effortlessly sidesteps me and grabs my shoulder, pinching the joint ever so slightly, but in such a way that I cannot move or even feel anything. The door closes, and he turns to walk behind me.
You get the first one for free, Jasper. Your hurt and Meridu's damage to you is indeed my fault. I thought I could leave him unsupervised, but even he can sense in something as a target when something sees him for what he is. He's an animal from the other side of Sturgeon, you see. They don't like it when people see them for what they are.
I see his ungloved, emaciated hand take my damaged arm, but I don't feel it.
But the rest, the reason he can see them, the reason Amelia has gone, that is all on you.
He twists it and digs his hand into the wound, pushing up against the joints and the muscles. For a moment, I only see white, and a ringing sound floods my ears, teeth clenching. But as soon as it comes, it goes. My arm aches, but I feel mobile once again. Dee Dee is leaning over his desk, book open and looking wary. I can see an eye poking through the shattered frames. It's young, but there's something old within the pupils. I'm sorry, you're right. I'm mad at myself, my own selfishness. I can't stand the idea that she's going to be gone. I wanted this to go on for a bit longer, and shame washes over me, and I walk over to take my seat, forlorn. Please, help me get her back. Help me extend it for just a little longer. He surveys me for a while, breathing heavily.
You know that all things must come to an end eventually, right? This was never a permanent solution.
He flips the pages to a list of clientele, and both mine and Amelia's names appear next to a list of complex ciphers that jump out on the page as if living, breathing, sentient creatures.
She hasn't got long left, but if you are to extend it, it's going to cost you dearly, Jasper.
I know. I'll lose my sanity if I stay any longer with this ability to see the unseen, but I'm prepared to do so, especially if it means I get her back, if I get more time with her. She's worth everything to me. I was resolute, steadfast that I could handle more nightmares and threats.
They captured the
Dee Dee
mission
shook his
area.
head, and for the first time, I sensed pity.
No, Jasper. This is the final extension.
I feel a
Should we
familiar
get her
chaos
back,
in the air.
it will cost you your soul.
They hitting real hard.
A life for a life. I will let her carry on, but at the expense of your own well-being. This is the offer I extend to you.
He didn't break his gaze. He'd done this before.
It is the only offer. I'm sorry. Take some time to think it over.
I looked out the window and simply observed for a moment. I watched nature take place in the clearing, the sun hanging at its zenith as all manner of creatures proliferated beneath its majesty. Harvester ants take pieces of a decaying stick insect to bring back to their nest and feed their ravenous queen. Many of their brood infected with the parasitic wasp larva that will eat its way out of their young before going off to repeat the cycle. Birds of all shapes and sizes flock to the many trees in Sturgeon City Park. I watch for a while as they congregate, the males flashing their vibrant plumage and the females twitching their heads, deciding if this is their life partner. I look out at the McGraw Memorial Park, children playing happily, parents gossiping about their day-to-day issues, and the elderly sitting by, watching the next generation flourish into the trees they planted. Life goes on. It will continue to go on after everyone on this earth is gone, and a brand new generation, new and vibrant, with no connections to the old guard, inherit the land. This world will keep turning and spinning on its axis. Life will find ways to proceed, and above all else, it'll step aside when the time comes. I breathe. a tear running down my face. Dee Dee looked at me. Even beneath the mask, it wasn't tough to see his studious gaze. He looked as if he were trying to figure out a puzzle. With a swift turn on his heel, he clapped his hands together and grabbed the heavy book, sliding it under his arm.
All right, it's settled. It looks like you've made your choice. As a gesture, I will act as blinders for your fears until we reach the Golgothan Bridge. Can't have you being scared of every damn thing on the way and wasting time, can we?
He patted me on the shoulder, that weight far beyond what it should be. Walking to his shelves, he hummed and grabbed some bottles,
Good thing I brought extra firepower
before dashing out the door and straight for my car. It's funny what you notice as you're frantically trying to get somewhere. How much your legs shake, your knuckles whiten as you grip the steering wheel. The irritability rising to unparalleled levels, not because of other circumstances, but because you know you're late to something you should have always been early to.
Real soldiers
But we can never plan for the unexpected. That's the nature of grief. I must have been breathing heavily, the sound of my teeth grinding as I sped up, turning down a long dirt road connecting Sturgeon's eastern markets to the Golgothan Bridge, a little trail known as the Myopic Road. Dee Dee sighed as he tapped the car's computer dashboard, scrolling through the playlist Amelia had left.
All you need to do is capture
Forever
the mission
Honeymoon.
area.
Do you mind if I...
His hand hovered over the song selection, waiting for my approval. Shoulders hunched, and I nodded. It did us no good to sit in a suffocating silence as the road dipped and the trees began encircling the trail, thick black roots jutting out and retaking what humanity had carved out on the main road. He hit play, and I immediately knew what song he'd chosen and why. How did you... I breathed, but he shook his head and held up a finger, pointing to the road ahead. In the darkness, something curled up on the ground, swaddled in a thick custom blanket and shivered. The closer I got, the easier the features were to make out. The space buns, bright hair, and petite frame. Amelia! I slammed the brakes, headlights still beaming at her body some 30 feet away, frantically unbuckling my seatbelt to dart over and save her. But Dee Dee grabbed onto my arm and I froze. Look. His voice was low, purposeful, without malice, but absolutely dripping with determination. I resisted for a moment until I saw the figure cloaked in flames emerge from the thicket, each step bringing with it small circles of flames that burst forth and extinguished. The flesh was melting away, dropping to the ground in large chunks with a wet, sloppy sound, but the face still bore recognition to its original form. It was mine. Terror gripped my stomach as this malformed version of me loomed over Amelia, not a single ember touching her as it outstretched its arms and protected her, shrieking at the top of its lungs.
She will not die. I will protect her. I will save her.
At this, winged creatures descended from the tree branches, fat, oversized ravens with sharpened claws and spiked beaks as they scratched and clawed at his body, desperate to reach her. With every defiant swat away, more of his skin fell, and his screams grew hoarse, falling to his knees and laying over Amelia, the beast encircling him.
No! I won't accept it!
I felt sweat run down my brow as the birds took pieces of him away before flying up and back into the trees. Nothing left in their place but a stack of ashes. What did I just... I felt my hands shaking.
Your denial. Keep driving.
Dee Dee's words hung in the air as I put my foot down on the accelerator gently, and the car rolled down the hill, over the ash, and descended into further darkness. It was a couple of minutes before I spotted it. A hulking mass of arms pulling apart birds and smashing them against the trees. I could feel its rage from this distance and felt unseen eyes fixate upon me.
Nobody will take her from me!
It shrieked, pulling apart one hapless bird, desperately trying to beat its wings and escape. The beak gripped firmly into one pulsating fist as another arm ripped it away. Black blood spilling over the creature, small slits with teeth opening up on the bicep to lap at the contents. Then, just like the first, it began bubbling into a pool of collective black blood, barely visible, two thick legs dropping in and dissolving at the mere touch. Still, regardless of the pain, it refused to stop thrashing, even as the last bicep tried desperately to smash the remaining birds.
No! Body!
It gurgled, the form disappearing underneath the liquid bit with a final sizzle, and the remaining birds flying back into the woods. I'm not that angry, I protested, feeling disgust at what I witnessed and a hardened core of dread in my gut.
But you were one. Come on.
Dee Dee extended a finger towards the still descending pit, gradually becoming steeper before the darkness swallowed the rest. I obeyed, letting the car gently descend with my foot still easing off the brake pedal. My free leg bouncing and the mounting anxiety of time wasted was not lost on me. I knew we couldn't do this forever. Look, Amelia's running out of time. Can't we do this some other time? I get that I need to be better. I need to recognize my problems with her illness, but there has to be a quicker way to do this. I was practically pleading, taking my eyes off the road to look at him and show him how much I meant it. Dee Dee, you have to understand.
No, Jasper, it's you who needs to understand. We're not here to address just one problem. We're here because it is a part of the journey. There is no reaching Amelia without going through this place. If you don't understand yet, you are about to.
I didn't understand what he meant, but seeing him brace the side of his car seat was indication enough. I turned back in time to see someone flagging down the car, arms flailing wildly in the air and a wide, crazed look in their eyes. They walked around to my window and frantically started screaming at me.
Oh, thank God you came. I don't have time to explain, but I need you to let me in. I've got to get out of this place. There's something super important I have to do, so...
He immediately tried the door handle, without waiting for a response, eyes darting down just to look back up at me, confused.
Come on, man. Let me in.
I turned to Dee Dee, already feeling my stomach turn to knots. He shook his head, and I mimicked it back. I can't. I have somewhere to be, and we can't deviate. I'm sorry. Before I could finish, he slammed his head into the window with full force. The sickening sound of bone meeting glass as his blood freely poured from the bridge of his nose. Features twisted as he snarled against the glass.
You're sorry? Dude, I cannot be late. I'll give you anything. Please. Please!
He raised his head back and smashed again, saying please with every repeated sickening smash. As he did, I saw his features shift and change until they softened in place. The flat nose became uplifted, the eyes changed color, and the lips grew fuller, blood staining the teeth. Amelia.
You'll need a top-notch team
I reached
to
for
win
the
this
handle,
one.
but Dee Dee grabbed me.
Bargaining. Another test.
Well...
You need to drive, Jasper.
How the window hadn't shattered yet was beyond me, the sickening crunches intermixing with the splattering of blood caking the glass. I couldn't fathom his hesitation. We can bring her with us. She obviously got lost while finding a way back here and needs our help. Dee Dee just stared at me, incredulous. What was I even saying? I watched this person shift before my very eyes. I blinked, clarity overcoming me as I put the car into drive and sped off, clipping them ever so slightly as I did. We drove for another few minutes as the road evened out. The sky above almost totally blotted out by the towering
30
trees.
seconds before you attack.
We descended
Get
for
ready.
some time, and it seemed we'd hit the bottom. There was a small patch of gravel to the
real
side
talk?
for us to park
Your
at.
whole glowing
Dee Dee
dagger thing?
indicating to pull
Super
over.
cool.
We sat in
Yours too,
silence for a
Jubilee.
few minutes as the
And way
music
more
played,
colorful.
and the realization
I'm
of
stuck
what
with the
I was
glowy white.
witnessing came to focus.
Plus, you have fangs
Depression
now.
is next,
I
right?
try to keep
Indeed. Are you ready?
Dee Dee seemed
battle
concerned,
starts in
but
5,
detached,
4,
like he knew this was
3,
something I had to face.
2, 1.
I swallowed, felt sandpaper in my throat. I don't think that matters right now, Dee Dee. But if I need to face it to get out of here, to get to Nurgle and Amelia, then that's what I'll do.
It's never been about facing these trials, Jasper. It's about what comes after. What you are willing to accept.
He pointed towards the center of the road.
You must face what's coming, not just what is already here.
I didn't understand what he meant, but it was clear that there was no progress without doing as he instructed. I almost found myself missing the lackadaisical and whimsical persona he had before. But this was hardly the time for comical undertones. I did as instructed and walked with purpose to the center of this endless stretch of road, every foot forward evoking a fresh sense of guilt, anxiety, and depression. Left foot forward.
You know all this is fine. There hasn't been
right before.
It is the natural part of the cycle of life.
Left before.
She will die. That is a certainty. One day.
Right before. I looked at the expanse in front of me and felt a cold wind whip at my face, stinging and hardening the tears.
You're halfway there.
I will be
Keep
alone,
going.
completely, utterly alone. I know. I'm not ready. I breathed, feeling this cold breeze smash against my bare skin and envelop my flesh. The same black substance that had dissolved the anger beast, wrapping itself around every fiber of my being, crawling its way up my waist and digging into my stomach. The further it climbed, the more my misery grew, the more that fear deep inside me grew. Every anxiety-riddled thought and depressive cycle forced its way past the rational barrier of my brain and screamed louder than anything else I could muster.
What is he waiting for?
One day, you have all these enjoyments, all these rituals that make you happy. One day, poof, they're gone. You're gone.
The formless voice hisses as it slithers around my chest.
You will cease to exist. The world will keep spinning. Those who love you will grieve for a time, but then they will die too. Eventually, all who know your name, your idiosyncrasies, your nuances, they will be gone, and you will be less than an echo. This is the fate that awaits us all. The fate that awaits Amelia.
I sank to my knees. Pain-racked sobs I was unable to control ripped through me, and I cast my head up to the sky as this thing took control of my body, my legs already growing numb from the cold. Is there any way to save her? To give her the life she deserves and the closure of knowing she'll be at peace? I mumbled between cries. I just want her to be safe. I want her to be healthy, with or without me. Dee Dee got out and leaned against the car, windows drawn down and the music playing, even as this mass overtook my body. Nurgle's going to take her away, isn't he? I croaked, flashes of memories running through my mind, small moments of her beauty, her serenity, idiosyncrasies you learned to tune out that had long lost their novelty now coming to the surface.
Yes, Jasper. There is nothing to be done about it, and fighting him will yield you nothing. You are no warrior or arbiter of fate. You are simply a man going through unmitigated heartbreak.
Dee Dee leaned forward and reached out a hand.
But you can get past. You need only accept what's going to come to pass.
I felt the shape slither up my neck, pulling at my windpipe, and the weight of my grief growing ever heavier on my shoulders. I will never get another sunny day with her. Another night binging our favorite show or making inside jokes about things we've done. I will never have a family with her. I felt the tears run down my face and cheeks grow hot, my voice beginning to fail me.
No, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy the time you still have left. Love is about sacrifice and trust. Whether you take my offer of a life for a life or not, someone must depart. That doesn't eliminate the love you have. Not one bit.
I grabbed his hand and pulled with everything I had, the black mass pulling at my skin and splitting it in places as it desperately tried to cling to me, scratching at my wrists and stomach as it steadily peeled away. I fell to the floor, my body stinging and a feeling of calm beginning to wash over me. I understand. By the journey's end, someone has to go. There was no bargaining with the king of the dead. I took a deep breath and surveyed the road ahead, now beginning to curve upwards and out of the doors. I nodded to Dee Dee and we both got in the car. I nursed my wounds and buckled in, selecting the playlist and queuing up a track. Wedding songs. Whatever it takes, Amelia. We came out of the clearing within 15 minutes, the somber silence permeating the car, knowing what had to come next. It was so similar to that first time we went to the hospital, knowing full well the news we'd receive when getting there. A moment of both dread and clarity mixed into one. Before long, the Grand Golgothan Bridge came into view, connecting Central Sturgeon and the wharf to the nearby Mantis Bay. Nobody recalls when it was built, The scholars say it had been there when people first began settling in what would later be Sturgeon, some 850 years ago. Large obsidian pillars and thick rusted chains connecting the wooden boards. Eventually, they'd be swapped out for tarmac, and safety nets would be placed on either side to prevent wayward drivers going over or anything in the river from coming up. Legends always persist that the bridge had an otherworldly aspect to it, that it was the bridge to the underworld when approached in the right circumstances. In the waning hours between dusk and dawn, a soul stuck between the realms could make the pilgrimage and offer themselves willingly to the underworld king and queen, making the transition easier depending on their quality of character. As we drove down the wharf, the hours growing late and a thick fog rolling in, I began feeling one overwhelming emotion. Clarity.
Dee Dee, I have a question.
If it's about my bathing secrets, I'm afraid I'm sworn to the grave to keep them.
He replied, chuckling.
Ask away, Jack.
What do you think dying is like? He considered my question. The slow crawl of the car against the setting sun and lavender sky, perfect backdrop.
I think, in all my years of watching the wicked, weird, and wonderful pass through the gates of life and death, the death is as mundane as it is terrifying, as beautiful as it is visceral. Death is a chorus of your friends and family welcoming you home after a long sabbatical away, eager to share tales of their exploits and hear your own. Death is the most beautiful of reunions and the best surprise party, because nobody ever expects to have the lights shut out on this world, only for them to be flicked back on so unceremoniously. Death is the safest place you ever have in life, magnified with all the love you kept along for the ride. It's a journey all undertaken, but none can report on.
He points a finger to the sky as we round a corner and park up at the base of the bridge, some stars beginning to poke through the thin veneer of lavender and bring with them a beautiful cobalt blue, swirling colors of untold beauty twinkling gently against the skyline.
That is death. It is beauty reaching back eons to let us know it was alive. It burned brightly and fiercely. It went out as it came in, with purpose.
I smiled as we got out, handing him the keys and instructing him on what to do when he heard the cue. Thank you, Dee Dee, for everything. He held out a hand and shook mine, firm grip, and pulled me in for a tight hug. I strolled through the fog and did my best to ignore the whispers on the wind, calling, screaming, and laughing in their mocking tones to scare me. I won't lie to you and say I feared nothing. I feared everything, but the notion of putting things right was strong enough to carry me through anything.
The right heroes could make all the difference. Meow.
What's up, YouTube? It's Elijah One Dream, and we're back again with another NBA 2K27 Center Build video. And in today's video, we are bringing you guys a 6'10" Dwight Howard build. Now, as you can see on your screen, the archetype name is absolutely insane. A paint protecting puncher. So obviously, puncher is a new archetype phrase or term, whatever you want to call it, new to NBA 2K27. But that is such a sick name. I was super hyped when that popped up. And our first comparison is Dwight Howard. Now, this build does require some cap breakers, and it doesn't really have pass accuracy. I had to sacrifice some pass accuracy, but again, this is kind of like a start of the year type of build where you don't need as many cap breakers, but for sure you're gonna need at least 5 cap breakers. That way you can get up to a 96 driving dunk, then you can get those elite contact dunks, catch lobs just like Dwight, and start dunking on everybody just like Dwight Howard did. But if you come back later on in the year, maybe in like the spring or something like that, once you get like 15 to 20 cap breakers and want to remake this build, then you can add some pass accuracy or anything else like that, then you can really make it a demigod. But this build is going to be super fun, very Dwight Howard-like, really good rebounding. You've got nasty contact dunks as well, and we're going to have some good interior defense. But a paint protecting puncher, that does describe Dwight Howard really well. He's going to block your shots like crazy, and he's going to dunk all over the Paint Protected Hunter is definitely a great description for a Dwight Howard. I can't wait to try this video. 96 driving dunk and the 90 standing dunk, so you get all the contact dunks on 6'10" with elite rebounding as well too. The pick and roll game is going to be super. And don't worry, this will be the last build video that I make with the app. Otherwise, I will be making regular build videos with the actual game in 2K27. I just have a few pre-recorded videos like I told you guys in the video yesterday with the Ben Wallace build. I wanted to pre-record some videos, get these all ready, so then once the game comes out, I can grind it a little bit more, and I can get my attributes up, get my reverse quicker, and I can start making my 7'4" toxic master, my 7'2" last, all with better badges and everything. But enough of me talking about it, let's get into it. So what I ended up doing was going 6'10", 235 pounds in a 7'4" wingspan. 7'4" wingspan is the max you can get. Dwight Howard was 6'10". I think they have him listed at like 250 or 260 or something like that. But so I went 235 pounds because of the strength vertical reasons. So being 6'10", Dwight Howard was extremely athletic, and I want that 90 vertical for all within the pogo stick. And that's going to help us with rebounding, blocking shots, everything else. And again, Dwight Howard was an athletic freak, so having a 90 vertical is only right for a Dwight Howard build, so that leaves us with an 88 strength. I would have liked to get up to a 90 strength, but that drops the vertical down to an 89. See, if I go to 238 pounds, my strength goes to a 90, but the vertical goes to an 89. So you kind of got to choose if you'd rather have a little bit of strength or a little bit more vertical. I decided to go more vertical because of all of the pogo stick, and of course being the center with rebound and blocking shots, a higher vertical better, especially on a 6'10". And you're still getting 88 strength, which is absolutely decent, and it is a stat cutoff threshold this year as well. So we're going 6'10", 235 pounds with a 7'4" wingspan. So for our finishing, again, the driving dunk is at a 91 out of 96, so we do need 5 cap breakers in order to get our elite contact dunks on this build. So like I mentioned, you might not want to make this build for a little bit, for a couple of weeks, until you do get some cap breakers, maybe at least to get like a 93 driving dunk, you can get a posterizer and stuff. But again, that's what I mean, this build does need some cap breakers in order to really play the way that I want it to play like. So again, you need 5 cap breakers, and we will be making this build soon, but we're just going to wait a little bit until we get 5 cap breakers, then I can use that 96 driving dunk and try absolutely moving on. So putting the driving dunk up to a 91, that brought our driving layup up to a 71. Again, if you want to use some cap breakers to get up to an 80 plus driving layup, I believe that is an option that we have. Only a 78 close shot, but again, we have a 90 standing dunk. We can get elite big man contact dunks, and we're going to get elite driving contact dunks with it as well too. And I can't wait to try it from the dunk leader this year as well too. That should be extremely fun. But you're going to be an absolute monster in the paint draft, getting a ton of contact dunks just like prime Dwight Howard. Now Dwight did have a little bit of a drop step game, a little bit of a post game, but unfortunately, again, this is more of like a pick and roll inside type of big, so we did not put any post control on. And again, it really wasn't possible. Just everything else with the rebounding and the defense that we need for Dwight, it just wasn't able to put post control on it. But again, if you want to use cap breakers to increase that, that's something that you have. And for the shooting, again, Dwight Howard was not a shooter. We have a 38 mid-range, a 25 3-ball, and a 38 free throw. He also struggled from the free throw line. But again, these early in the year builds, especially without using a cap breaker optimization, I wasn't able to put any shooting. But again, the Dwight Howard build, we do not want any shooting. So there was no point putting any shooting on this build, again, to be an actual Dwight Howard type of build. Now for the playmaking, I really wish I could have got more pass accuracy on this build. I tried to tweak it a little bit, but all the physicals, the rebounding, the defense, and then all the contact dunks that I wanted to have, and I also wanted to have some speed with ball as well too. If we're going to be a pick and roll type of big, and with a 96 driving dunk and a 90 standing dunk, we definitely need to have some elite running. So being able to get that 65 speed with ball, I really wanted that. And hand goes with it a 60 ball handle, so you can get a few dribble moves here and there, but again, if you have some cap breakers, you can get up to 78, you can get some better ball handle, better dribble moves, and that might help you get towards the basket. But again, I had to sacrifice the pass accuracy, so unfortunately, you're not going to be passing the ball very much. But again, Dwight Howard was not much of a playmaker. He maybe averaged like 1 assist per game, so that is Dwight-like. But again, I would have liked to have a little bit more pass accuracy on this build. But again, like I mentioned, the start of the year builds where we don't have enough cap breakers to really figure things out, I had to sacrifice the playmaker. I'll probably come back later on in the year once I have 15, 20 cap breakers, whatever it might be, and then remake this build and put some more playmaking and passing. And for the defense, for our interior defense, we went to an 84. I tried to get it to an 85, so I'm just saving myself some cap breakers right here. So we need one cap breaker to get to an 85 interior defense, and that will get us gold off-ball pest, and that will get us silver wall up as well too. So you're gonna get 2 badges from getting that 85 interior. That's gonna go well with that 93 block from gold paint controller, so gold paint controller and silver wall up on this build should be really nasty. And again, great athleticism and strength to go with it. Gonna be swatting shots, blocking shots like crazy, and holding down the paint. And again, I didn't put any perimeter defense or steal on it. If you want to use cap breakers, you can get these up extremely well. And like I mentioned, you can get all the other contact dunks, the good physicals, rebounding, getting the proper block, and interior defense and everything else like that. I had to sacrifice perimeter defense and steal, but cap breakers are pretty good for those. So if you want to use some cap breakers to increase those throughout, you can definitely do that. And then the rebounding, of course, Dwight Howard is the lead rebounder. We got a 95 defensive rebound and a 93 offensive rebound. So we can get the silver box out badges, and we will be able to get box out boss on gold once we use some cap breakers to get our strength up to an 88. But for the time being, I did have to sacrifice some strength. But still, we're going to get those nice gold rebounding badges in the offensive and defensive end, and we also get the Hall of Fame sink snatcher. So you should be able to rebound the ball extremely well with this build. A 90 vertical and a 6'10" frame with a max wingspan. You should be able to snag 85 strength as well too. You should be able to hold some nice box outs, grab those boards, go back up with it, dunk below the competition, and of course, beat Dwight Howard. And for the physicals, like I mentioned, extremely good physicals. A 76 speed at 6'10", you can get up and down the court really nice. A 61 agility, you might want to increase that a little bit depending on the motion styles and how they work this year. But again, like I mentioned, I only went to an 85 strength. We do need 3 cap breakers to get up to an 88 for that gold box out badge. But as you see there, if I go to an 84 strength up to an 85, that does get us that gold workforce badge, and that's going to help us to secure some loose balls, get some rebounds, whatever it might be. So it's just a nice little threshold to hit there as well. And then of course the 90 vertical, I really wanted to be athletic. Again, Dwight Howard, an athletic freak, an athletic specimen, and being 6'10", kind of an undersized center, especially if you're going to be playing in the rec a lot. I wanted that 90 vertical so we can out-jump the opponent with our max wingspan, our 6'10" frame, bring down those rebounds, and of course get up there and block those shots. So this is the start of the year 6'10" Dwight Howard build. Now again, like I mentioned, we do need some cap breakers for this build, and I would love to come back and revisit this build later on in the year once we have more cap breakers and I can figure things out a little bit better. But this is a good start of the year Dwight Howard build. I can't wait to try this out, start dunking on people, trying to the rebounding, the defense with it as well too. I think it's going to be an absolute blast to play on. And then for the cap breakers, and again, if you don't know how to view the cap breakers in the app, make sure you fill it up to a 99, and then you can just click on the builder glossary, and then the tab up at the top here, as you can see I'm sliding it, you can click on the cap breakers, and that will bring you the cap breakers. So for the finishing cap breakers, again, you do have a little bit of an option here. If you want to increase your close shot to get up to like an 86, you can do that. That's going to give you Silver Paint Prodigy, I think maybe a couple other badges. And again, driving layup is also an option if you want to use 3 cap breakers. That will get you up to an 80 driving layup, and that's going to get you Silver Physical Finisher, which would be really nice. And then again, like I mentioned, we need 5 cap breakers to our driving dunk. And once I make this build, that's immediately where my first 5 are going to go, so we can get the elite contact dunks to go with our elite big bang contact dunks as well. And then for the shooting, if you want to get up to a 73 ball, you can do that. If you want to use 5 cap breakers later on in the year, I don't know how good shooting with the 73 ball will be. If you can even get some good jump shots in that way, I have no idea. But again, it is an option if you want to do that. And if you want to add some free throws to the build, you can do that as well too. And then for the playmaking, so with a 35 pass accuracy, you can get up to a 60, so you can at least get, I think, a couple bronze passing badges if you want. But again, like I mentioned, I will revisit this build later on in the year, try to figure out how to get some more pass accuracy on it, and use the other cap breakers better. And then of course, like I mentioned, for the ball handle, if you want to use 4 cap breakers, you can get up to a 78 ball handle. If you want some extra dribble moves, there's probably a few extra badges that you can get with that as well. That is an option for you as well. And then again, if you want to use 1 cap breaker to get that 67 speed with ball, that is also another option. And for the defense, like I mentioned, we need to add 1 cap breaker to our interior defense to get to an 85 to get those 2 extra badges, which will be worth it. The wall up and off ball test, which will be really nice on this build. And like I mentioned, the perimeter defense and steal, you have good cap breakers for those. So if you want to use 5 cap breakers on both of them, you can get up to a 77 perimeter and a 76 steal. But even if you use 4 cap breakers on perimeter defense, you get to a 72. I believe that gets you movable enforcer on silver, which would be nice. And if you want to use 4 cap breakers on steal, that can get you that 72 rating. I can't remember if 76 is a cutoff badge for it or not. Regardless, you still can get some more steal on this build if you really want. So like I mentioned, you do need cap breakers for this build in order for it to play really like Dwight Howard, so it is going to take a few weeks before we can make this build and then really try it out and see what it's capable. And then the cap breakers for the rebounding, it's all +1s. If you want to add +5 to the offensive rebound and +4 to the defensive rebound, you can get 98 and 99, and you can get some extra Hall of Fame rebounding badges there as well. So it is another option for you guys, but like I mentioned, my first cap breakers will be going into the driving dunk to get it up to a 96 for those elite driving contact dunks. And then for the physicals, nothing really too crazy, but if you want to add 2 to agility, that will get you +10 to a 71 agility, which will be nice for some extra motion styles. And then like I mentioned, an 88 strength, you need 3 cap breakers to add to that, and that's going to give you a little extra rebounding badges and maybe a couple other extra badges. I can't exactly remember at this time, but still 88 is a badge threshold. And that's it. That does it for our cap breakers for the 6'10" Dwight Howard build. So there we have it, the paint protecting puncher Dwight Howard build. I cannot wait to make this build, try it out in the random rec center, use some nice pick and rolls, get some nice lobs towards the rim, catch some bodies, swat some nasty shots, and just be an absolute monster out there with a prime Dwight Howard build. Super excited to try out this build, and the archetype name is absolutely fire. I cannot wait to try this build out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you drop a like, hit that sub if you're new. Catch you in the next one. Peace.
Mrs. Prudence Hemmings. I don't really know what to think after reading the note. Hopefully it was some sort of joke. But the agent had said the previous tenant was an elderly lady. And I can't see anyone named Prudence Hemmings attempting to play practical jokes on someone they'd never met. There were also parts of the note I couldn't disprove. There was indeed a large damp patch above the bed that me and Jamie had already discussed reporting. No crimson, but it definitely existed. I'd also commented on a beautiful Sphinx cat roaming the halls as we were moving in. I started to get seriously freaked out. Our dream, our beautiful little home had just become a source of fear and confusion. I checked the time, and it was 9:14. Damn it. Out of time to catch Postman Ian. When I opened the door to check, sure enough, 2 letters addressed to a Mrs. Hemmings sat on the doorstep. At about 11:15, my worst fears were truly confirmed when a friendly, middle-aged looking man carrying window cleaning equipment knocked on my balcony door. I ignored him. I didn't want to take the risk until I'd spoken to Jamie and showed him the note. I texted him all ready to rush home. I felt bad as the man rapped his knuckles against the door for over 10 minutes. But honestly, the longer it went on, the more I was terrified. My windows were sparkling, and due to our lack of curtains, I couldn't even hide from his gaze. I felt so exposed. He stayed for a total of 30 minutes exactly, and never once did he stop looking at me or knocking. He shouted the occasional ultra-friendly line or humble request for a beverage in the heat through the door, but I did my best to avoid eye contact. When he finally left, I looked outside every window in the flat, but I couldn't see him on any of the other balconies or see any equipment suggesting he was around. He had vanished completely. Jamie still hadn't texted me back. He must have been having a rough shift. It was a Friday, and they were always busy. It wasn't often that he didn't reply. He was due home in around an hour anyway. I read the note probably hundreds of times over. I tortured myself reading it for the next hour, desperately waiting for Jamie to come through the door and tell me it was all crazy and I should relax. I hoped for that so much. But Jamie never came. His shift should have finished around midday, but by 2 p.m. he still wasn't home. I panicked. I cried. I left over 100 voice messages on his phone but got nowhere. I finally decided it had been long enough, that calling his work wouldn't embarrass him, and his boss told me that he had never turned up for his shift. I thought about it. What could have happened? And then it hit me. Jamie's shift started at 4 a.m. today. He would have left the flat at 3:15 and taken the lift down the stairs. I don't know what to do. I've tried to convince myself it was all just a big joke. Maybe Jamie wrote the note and got his boss in on it. A voice in my head kept telling me that he couldn't write like that if he tried. But I had to attempt to fool myself. It's getting late, and he still isn't home. What if it's all true? I think we made a big mistake. So much has happened in the last 24 hours. I'm so stressed, and I've barely slept since I discovered that Jamie was missing. It's starting to make me feel a little twitchy, but I thought I'd better update you guys. I was overwhelmed by all the suggestions you gave me, and I've taken more than a few of them on board. I'm definitely going to be getting a huge planter full of sage for the balcony, and I did spill a little salt in my doorway. I'm sorry to disappoint, but that didn't help at all. There's nothing I'm following quite like Mrs. Hemming's rules, though. I'd followed them to the letter so far, and lo and behold, I'm still alive. That's not to say it hasn't been tough. I'll start from the beginning. I was going crazy, and a few hours after my last post, Jamie still hadn't returned. He had been gone for almost 24 hours. His work has called me multiple times. I don't know what to say, so I just keep ghosting the calls. I was bang in the middle of the danger time when I decided checking the lift had to be my first step. But I wasn't going to break that rule. I waited. I waited desperately for 3:34 to come. And I'm ashamed to say that when it did, I remained paralyzed to our sofa for almost half an hour before I found the nerve to leave the flat. It was 4:02 when I finally reached the lift. The lift in this building is old and rickety. It hasn't been updated in a very long time, and has likely been here as long as the building. Its big, clunky buttons stared back at me as I glared at them, hoping for some sort of answer or clue. My heart thumped, and I was overcome with a feeling of dread, but nothing came of any of it. It was hopeless. I stepped inside the lift, rode it up and down a few floors, and searched the entire perimeter with a phone torch for anything I could find. I found nothing. Jamie had completely disappeared. Sobbing and exhausted, I rode back to floor 7 and turned my key in flat 42. The perfect home that felt anything but home at that point. I sat at the cheap flat-pack dining table we'd managed to put together on move-in day and cried, my hand shaking as I held my phone. I was flitting between reading all your comments and contemplating calling the police for an hour, but I decided to call my friend Georgia instead. I needed a real person here. Things were so crazy, I wasn't sure the police would be able to help with what little information I had, but I knew I needed to sound it out with someone. I'll spare you the details again, but I told her everything. She promised she'd be with me in the late morning. She had to take her younger brother to school. I waited anxiously, not before arming every room exactly as advised. Before I knew it, I looked up at the clock and saw it was 8:23. I had around half an hour until the postman was due to show up. There was no way I was missing him today. I stood by the door looking vacantly at the wood, like someone in a film who was possessed. The exhaustion was really setting in, but Jamie was all I could think of. Pure adrenaline was keeping me standing. At 8:52, I opened the door. The next 2 minutes were the longest of my life. But when I saw him, a wave of relief swept my entire body. Right on cue, 8:54, the postman, Ian Flanders, stood in front of me. A smile that barely hid his concern covering his younger-than-expected face. He didn't look old enough to have been the postman for over 35 years, but I was too distracted by the answers that I needed from him to care.
You must be the lieutenant,
he stated, but in a way that sounded like a question. I struggled with my answer, so I got straight to the point. Mrs. Hemmings left me a note. She said to speak to you if...
Can I come in, dear? I think we need to chat.
I ushered Ian in, my hands still shaking as I flapped them in the direction of the sofa, gesturing for him to sit down. I shoved the now slightly crumpled note into his lap and waited.
I'm glad Prue still thinks that highly of me. I miss that old girl,
he said with a coy smile as he reached the end of the note. Can you help me or not? I had no time for his ego trip over a moved-on neighbor.
I can help, but I can't stop for long, so it'll have to be quick. I've walked these halls delivering the post for 40 years, and I've seen it all. Everything Prue's mentioned and more. What do you need to know?
he said. Ian was nothing like what I expected. The note made me feel like he was going to be a kindly old granddad type figure, but I couldn't have been more wrong. Postman Ian spoke with a thick city accent and wore a heavy gold chain around his tattooed neck. He had dyed his graying hair boot-polished black. His demeanor was thankfully non-threatening, but extraordinarily cocky. He was the sort of man I imagined in a betting shop, rubbing his grubby hands on notes as he bragged over a win. He didn't ask as he lit a cigarette in my own living room. I didn't question it. We would usually smoke outside, but I wasn't going to argue over technicalities. I grabbed a bowl for the ash and lit one too. Let's start with the things in the lift. My boyfriend is missing, and he took the lift at 3:15 over 24 hours ago. We hadn't got this note yet. I haven't heard from him since. I need to get him back. I barked at him, as if the louder I spoke, the more I could influence his answer. But nothing prepared me for what he had said. His skin turned pale, and his harsh-looking face became more sympathetic as he explained.
But he's dead, love. Forget about him now. Only one person has ever come back from a lift at that time of night, and it was Prue herself. After witnessing it, those creatures ripping their victim apart, poor Prue was traumatized. Your boy is gone. Let go, follow the rules.
He was blunt, but I could tell he felt sorry for me. There must be something I can do, I pleaded.
There are things I've heard to bring back those who are lost, but I've never seen solid proof they work. It would be irresponsible of me to tell you to do something that might get you killed, too. It's nice here, honest. Just get over him and live the status quo. Sorry if I sound harsh, don't mean to. But you seem like a decent young lady, and I don't want to see you go too soon.
I asked about what Mrs. Hemmings had seen in the lift, and if they were sure it happened to all who entered it. I refused to believe that Jamie was dead. There had to be something I could do, and if I knew what I was dealing with, I could be better prepared.
It was awful what happened. I wasn't there, but this is what I was told. Little Lila was such a cute kid. She used to open the door and give me a tip when I delivered the post. She was Prue's granddaughter. Lila was her son's little girl, and that night she was staying over for the first time. Prue finally felt confident that she could protect Lila from all the strange things that happened here. She was wrong. Little Lila had a problem with sleepwalking, and she took a trip into the hallway at 1:30 in the morning. Prue took a little too long to notice the sound she had heard was the front door, and by the time she reached the lift, she saw the creatures dragging Lila's limbs away from her body. She tried to fight them, even killed one, but she couldn't save the little girl.
I was hysterical, imagining Jamie's fate. What are the creatures? Have you ever actually seen them? I asked.
No one really knows what they are, love. There's something to do with the building and all its quirks. No one's ever seen them elsewhere. We don't know where they come from, just that they're here. I've seen them a few times over the years, usually when new neighbors have left biscuits down for their cats and dogs or haven't disposed of food waste properly. They're curious little creatures, mostly harmless out of the hours Prue warned me about, but if they're not fed, they can become quite vicious looking for more food. That's why you have to bin all your scraps, or hide them, or pack them, or whatever. Just don't leave them out, and don't use the lift at those times, and you're safe from the creatures. They're a little smaller than humans, but they're a similar shape. They come with grotesque rodent-like features, and are far larger than any rodent could be. Like the rodent children, I suppose. They have 2 sharp rows of teeth per jaw, and are consistently hungry. When they eat, they crunch down in a violent and disgusting way, dripping spittle everywhere. Prue said she could hear her granddaughter's bones shatter in those jaws.
He went pale at the thought of that, but continued.
When they first arrived in the building, there were hundreds. It caused pandemonium amongst the residents. We lost the residents of more than 30 of the individual homes, but the residents fought back and managed to kill all but the strongest minority of them. The creatures left over were incredibly dangerous and seemingly impossible to eradicate, so the residents struck a deal that they will be left unharmed and allowed to live in the building in return for the residents' safety at all times. But if anyone wanders into a lift between 1:11 and 3:30 a.m., they're fair game. This time frame is the period the creatures are at their most frenzied, and restricting them to the lift was safer for all parties. God help anyone who encounters them during those hours. They've been here ever since. Claimed lots of unsuspecting people avoiding the stairs, but nothing like when they first arrived. A few got put down for not holding up their end of the bargain, but we haven't had an incident outside the lift in years. Count yourself lucky you missed that crisis. Everything here is pretty peaceful right now. I'm sorry about your boyfriend. I really have to go. I'm late for my round.
He scrawled his phone number on a bit of paper and handed it to me.
Emergencies only. I don't like to be bothered.
You can't go! The note said you would help me! I exclaimed.
And I will. When there's something I can help with.
I was in shock. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, and I couldn't believe he was leaving me after the information overload and the small ray of hope he had lit inside me, and then squashed. I'll call the police! I shouted, desperate to feel as if I was solving this somehow.
You can try if you want.
Ian sighed as he opened the door to leave.
It just aggravates the creatures, and it isn't going to bring your boy back. Mr. Prentice hates when the police come, too. If you want to get any sleep in the next week, then I'd avoid it. Wait a week, report him missing, and learn to adapt to life here, love. Or you'll be dead in days.
And with that, he shut the door behind him. I opened it again. I had so much more to ask. But he was gone. No sign of him anywhere in the corridor. Maybe it was me losing my mind. I might be imagining all these things. But no matter how much I willed it, the note was still there. And Jamie still wasn't. Georgia arrived not long after Ian had left. I, of course, asked if she had seen him in the corridor to try and affirm to myself that he was real. But she hadn't. She looked at me worried and held me as I sobbed and told her what the postman had said about Jamie and the creatures. I wasn't sure she believed me. Even as she read the note, she looked skeptical. If she was skeptical, I wouldn't have blamed her. But she had always been supportive. She sat with me for hours while I just sobbed, heartbroken. I was so conflicted as to what to do. I felt insane that I hadn't contacted anybody. But this note had turned out to be accurate so far, and if the postman was to be trusted, then I should wait. Georgia had been my best friend for many years. She stuck up for me when I was too scared to do it for myself, and had always been the brave one of the two of us. I felt safe around her. So after hours of crying and despairing at the way my life had changed in a matter of days, I finally decided to take a nap. It was early evening and Georgia was watching some TV, just there for me if I needed her. Despite the deprivation, I struggled to fall asleep. I tried to imagine Jamie's arms around me, but it became a more painful reminder that they probably never will be again. Eventually, after what felt like an eternity of staring at the damp patch on the ceiling, I drifted off. About 3 hours ago, I woke up, staring at the goddamn damp patch on the ceiling. I could hear chatting in the living room. I jumped out of bed and walked towards it. Georgia was on the sofa, with a middle-aged looking woman, both nursing a cup of tea in the matching mugs that Jamie had got me as a move-in present. My blood boiled, but it wasn't their fault. I cleared my throat to get their attention. Oh, Katie! This is Natalia. She lives upstairs. We got chatting, so I made her a cup of tea. I hope you don't mind. I looked at the dark-haired woman on the sofa, drinking tea from my cup, and nodded. Georgia was a sociable idiot with no understanding of when not to be herself. I wasn't going to lament her for it right now. It was her coping. Of course. Hi, Natalia. What flat do you live in? I tried my very best to be polite. I would have to discuss not bringing people into my home mid-tragedy with Georgia after she had left. But until then, I would be neighborly.
Flat 71. It's so nice to meet you. You have a lovely home.
Natalia responded. Her lips curled at the corners into a smile that wasn't replicated in her eyes or the rest of her facial expression. She looked at me smugly, with full knowledge that I was aware of the implications of what she had just said. The rules. The flat number. Every now and again, someone will knock at your door claiming to live in one of these flats and ask to borrow some sugar. They will seem entirely average, but you must shut and lock the door immediately. I installed 2 extra security bolts to avoid these fuckers. I don't like to swear at my age, but they really are fuckers. Prue's warning echoed in my mind, and I couldn't take my eyes off Natalia. Something really was off about her. I looked at Georgia, sat on the sofa next to her, and noticed her sweating. It's been hot for a few days, but this was beyond just the ambient temperature. Her entire body was dripping. Suddenly, she began to pant. Natalia's eyes were locked to mine, just like the window cleaner's had been. Nothing happened before with the cleaner, except this time the rule had been broken. She was already in the flat. Georgia started to scream as her skin blistered and charred. Her hair fell from her scalp as the skin flayed and melted away from every inch of her. She was being burned alive without a flame in sight. She scratched frantically at her own melting face, digging into the exposed raw flesh. The sound a person makes when they burn alive is like no other. That will never leave me. I screamed and screamed, but no one came to my door. I tried to grab my phone to call Postman Ian, but the wooden surface I'd set my phone down on burned my fingers to the touch and forced me to recoil. She was going to set the whole flat alight. My actions needed to be quicker than a phone call. I grabbed hold of the large knife I had set down on the side earlier when weaponizing. The handle blistered my fingers instantly, but I didn't care. I needed to get her out now and help Georgia if I could. I ran towards the dark-haired lady, sweat dripping from my brow the closer I got, and plunged the knife into Natalia's throat. She gripped it and fell to the floor. She didn't bleed like a normal human. Her insides were black. She was still moving, and I figured it probably wouldn't be long before she stood right back up and tried again. So I dragged her into the hallway, ready to bolt the door. As we reached the entrance of the corridor, one of the cats was waiting, hissing at her semi-conscious body. I caught her eyes fixate on it as I dumped her on the floor. I grabbed the cat, pulled him inside, wincing as its skin caused more burns on my lower arms. Shut the door and watched through the peephole. She got up and held her hand to the wound, cauterizing it, and walking off towards the lift, as if she hadn't been injured at all. I dropped the cat by that point, but every bit of naked skin it had touched throbbed and burned for at least an hour. Georgia hadn't been as lucky as Natalia with injury recovery. I anonymously called an ambulance for her. I couldn't believe it, but she was still breathing. She was badly burned, and her life wouldn't be the same again. But she was alive, and for that I was grateful. It sounds awful, but I left her at the park across the road from the building, with no phone or ID. She's my best friend, and I want to be there, but if I own up to involvement in injuries that bad, they'll suspect me, and I'll lose the already slim chance that Jamie might be savable. It doesn't mean I don't care about Georgia, but she's alive. I won't believe Jamie isn't until I see it. So now I'm alone again, in the flat, conflicted about what to do. I want to leave so badly, but this was mine and Jamie's first home together. If he's alive and I can save him, then I want it to be here for him to come back to. And if he's dead, and the postman is right, then I don't know if I can leave his memory behind. There's only one person I can think to help me right now. So tonight I'm going to do some research, hunt down an address, and tomorrow morning I'm going to visit Prudence Hemmings. I didn't get much sleep last night either. The lack of sleep is making me wonder whether all these things happening are in my mind or not. But I'm reminded every time I see that damn note that it's all real. I spent hours last night searching for anything I could about Prudence Hemmings. If she had lived in a big, creepy mansion, I imagine she would have been easy to find. But us folk who live in tower blocks aren't so well documented. No one cares about our lives, no matter how extraordinary. I found an article about missing person Lila Hemmings. It suggested that she went missing under the care of her grandmother while playing in the park, opposite the flats early in the morning. Interviews with her parents stated that they had both disowned Prudence. Despite the many years that had passed since Lila's death/disappearance, her parents appeared to have remained unforgiving of Prue. There was no mention of her on either of their social media accounts, and she appeared to have no involvement with the children they had acquired since. Searches for the Hemmings family in the local area were equally dead ends. I looked at link after link, desperate to find something, but they all started to blur into one, until finally I saw something. An obituary for Bernard Bernie Hemmings, who had fallen from the tower block in unexplained circumstances after being diagnosed with dementia months before his death. I was surprised it hadn't made bigger news. It had only been about a year. There were no details of where to find them, but his wife Prudence and her sister Bridget were listed as contacts to find out details about the funeral. It's scary what you can do with the internet these days. But just with those phone numbers, I was able to put them into a reverse directory and find an address for Bridget and Tony Bishop, the sister and brother-in-law that Prudence was supposedly living with. About 4 a.m., I managed to get some sleep. Not much, though. I was back up and wide awake at around 7 a.m., planning my route and working out my day. I saw a post on social media from one of her relatives that Georgia was identified and is stable. This loosened the knot in my stomach that had been present since I found the note somewhat. At 8:50, I opened the door to my flat, hoping to see Postman Ian. 4 minutes passed, and instead of the postman, an elderly gentleman made his way down the corridor. He had a walking stick and kind eyes. In his free arm, he carried a small plastic bag containing a newspaper and milk. He smiled and said good morning as he passed. I smiled back. He reminded me of my granddad. I imagined him pulling cola cubes from his pocket for his grandkids and shushing them when their parents weren't looking. A little further down the corridor, the old man stopped and turned. He looked me dead in the eyes with a sympathetic expression and spoke.
No post on Sundays, if that's what you're waiting for.
He smiled knowingly and turned to unlock a front door that, until shut, I couldn't see the number of. When I saw the door close and the number 48 boldly displayed above the peephole, I understood what Prudence had meant. Mr. Prentice did seem to be a lovely person. I sat back in my flat and sighed, staring at the various tabs open on my laptop. At about 9:15, the knocking on the balcony door started. The window cleaner was back. I didn't feel half as terrified as I had the first time. If anything, I was just angry. It took every ounce of restraint I had in my tired body not to engage with him, if only to tell him to fuck off. His genuine-seeming request just irritated me. After about 20 minutes of being watched, the knocking started to give me a headache. So I grabbed a bag and left the flat. I decided there was no time like the present. If I was going to turn up on the bishop's doorstep looking for her sister because of the freaky flat she's left behind, then I had to get it over with. If the address was old, or the bishops weren't the people I was looking for, then I was going to look stupid whatever time of day I went. And I couldn't take the window cleaner's eyes anymore. There was something about them. They really do make you want to open the door. I looked at the lift as I entered the communal hallway and decided today I would take the stairs. I couldn't stand to be in a small box that my partner probably died very painfully in. My heart dropped into my stomach just at the sight of it. The stairs were as grotty as the lift. We'd taken them multiple times on move-in day, but I hadn't really taken it in the same way I could now. I thought about the rules and all the strange things happening in this building. I looked at the badly painted numbers on the walls as I reached each landing. Nothing in this building is simple. I looked at the numbers. 7, 6, 5, 5, 4, 3, 4, 2, G. Maybe it was the sleep deprivation, but my legs were in agreement with my mind that I had definitely just descended more than 6 flights of stairs. They glitched. I looked at the dusty and poorly lit stairwell from the bottom. It seemed dark, despite the sun pouring in from the glass panel in the main building doors. The note never mentioned glitchy stairs. Maybe I really was losing my mind. I looked at the dusty and poorly lit stairwell from the bottom. As I turned to exit the building, a woman walked in. She was in her late 30s to early 40s and had 2 small children in tow. 1 boy and 1 girl. I guessed that they were twins. They were both incredibly blonde, with deep brown puppy dog-looking eyes, and couldn't have been any older than 6 or 7. They were as close to identical as it gets in twins of different genders. I'm not a fan of kids, but they were super cute. The lady had a short bob haircut that got longer at the front. It was uniform and dyed a perfectly even auburn color. I knew it was dyed because her roots were blonde, like her kids. She looked as tired as I felt, but she pulled herself together when she saw me, running fingers through a part of her hair that she must have missed however early she left this morning, who opened with,
"Hi, are you here visiting?"
trying to make small talk. No, I just moved into flat 42 on the 7th floor. I was just leaving, actually. Whereabouts are you? I was desperate to go. I had feared myself up to see Prue, but I didn't want to be rude.
"Oh, I'm flat 26. My name's Terry. This is Eddie and Ellie."
She gestured to the 2 small children, hiding shyly behind her skirt.
"Welcome to the block. If you ever need anything, please feel free to give me a shout."
My name is Katie, but people call me Kat, too. That's really kind of you. Thank you. I will. Hey, is there something wrong with the stairs? I stopped myself before going into detail.
"No, nothing wrong. They just skip sometimes,"
she answered, shrugging. Well, I'd love to stop and chat, but I actually really need to get going. It was nice to meet you, Terry. I tried to work out what was wrong with the children as I stepped forward to walk away, still baffled by the stairs.
"Oh, by the way, we have a residence committee. You should come to one of our meetings. They're every Tuesday in alternating flats. This Tuesday is at Molly Jefferson's place in flat 31. Come along, we'd love to have you,"
Terry suggested, waving me off. I walked out the doors after my encounter with Terry, feeling sick. Every minute in this place made the note more real. Every word jumped off the page and into my life, made it more likely that Jamie was really gone. I rode the bus from a stop not far from the flats. It felt like it took an eternity to reach the little suburban area I was looking for. A 5-minute walk away from the bus stop, I got off, and I was staring at a quaint little bungalow belonging to Bridget and Tony Bishop. I knocked on the door. The lady who opened it was unsteady on her feet. She was probably in her 70s, with wispy white hair neatly scraped back into a bun, 2 strands left hanging that just softened her wrinkled face. She wore a dusty rose-colored dress that hung just below her knees and smelled of stale cigarette smoke.
"Can I help you?"
she asked bluntly. My name is Kat. I'm looking for Prudence Hemmings," I answered, stuttering slightly. Her eyes widened slightly.
"Why?"
she asked, bizarrely. "Is she here?" "It's private." The lady ushered me into the house and sat me down on a sofa. Within minutes, there was a cup of tea in front of me. She didn't say anything to me for a while. We just looked at each other. Then she finally broke the silence.
"I wondered if you'd try and find me. It took me a long time to decide whether to leave that note or not, but I decided that you deserved a head start. That's more than I ever got."
The woman was Prudence. She was nothing like I had imagined. She seemed tough and hardened and spoke with a mostly blunt tone.
"Terry called me not long ago. Told me that she had met the lieutenant. She said you looked shaken up and said that my note may not have been enough. I did say I couldn't fit everything on there, and the stairs didn't seem too important. The committee wanted to organize a meeting with you on your moving in day, but I told them that was intrusive. The whole committee thing always seemed a bit excessive to me, anyway.
She spoke flippantly, like it was nothing. It may have been intrusive, but we needed a warning. We spent a night in the place before I found your note. My boyfriend had already left for work at 3:15 and taken the lift. He didn't know. I broke as I told her what had happened. Her face dropped, and so did my hope for Jamie.
I'm so sorry. I really don't know what to say. I thought my note would reach you in time.
She mumbled, her face to the floor, refusing to look at me as tears streamed down my face. He's gone, isn't he? I didn't want to accept it, but I spoke to the postman, and your face says all it needs to. The postman said there might be a way I can have him back. I bit at her, devastated and angry.
He's gone. You can't have him back. What Ian is referring to isn't what you think. There's a way to get people back from the lift, but not as themselves. Trust me, I learned the hard way. Once they're back, you can't reverse it. I'm sorry about your man, but he's gone forever. Don't dig into the other way. To be gone forever is luckier than the alternative.
She still wouldn't look up from the floor. What do you mean?
I don't want to talk about it. I said in the note that there are things I'd rather not discuss, and I need you to respect that or I won't be speaking to you at all. Now move on and ask what you need to ask.
Prudence cut me off. I decided not to push the topic further and moved on to some other things I needed to know. What's the deal with Terry's kids? They seem sweet and normal.
Those little demon creatures are anything but normal.
She answered, wincing slightly at the thought of them.
When she went into labor, Terry never made it to a hospital. They were the first children ever to be born inside the building, and with everything that goes on, it's like something's rubbed off on them. They're average children in the daytime, but they never sleep. Ever. Poor Terry hasn't had a day's rest since they were born. They also really love to steal birds and rats they find the cats playing with and torment them. Really annoys the cats.
As she finished speaking, a small hairless cat strutted out from behind an armchair across the room, meowing softly. It brushed its head up against Prue's exposed legs, leaving scorch marks where it touched. She didn't react. She reached down and stroked the top of its head, smiling as it purred. "And those?" I asked. Eyes stuck to her now badly burned legs. She chuckled, pulled out a box and lit a cigarette, tapping the top layer of ash into a small silver dish in front of her. She offered me one, and I took it gladly.
They've always been my good friends. I couldn't leave the building without bringing a part of home with me. This little guy is Damon. He's seen some things.
She gushed, not taking her eyes off the cat. "But where did they come from? Why are they everywhere?" I asked, watching in disbelief as her burn subsided. It seemed impossible, but I looked at my arms where I had picked up the cat the night before, and there was no evidence it had ever happened. They didn't even appear sunburned.
No one really knows. They started to appear after the fire, a few years after I'd moved in. It was rumored that they were the pets of the residents that burned, and that was why they had no fur, but I don't think that's true.
I interrupted. I met one of those neighbors last night. She said her name was Natalia. She almost killed my best friend. You're crazy if you think your note was enough of a warning. I ranted emotionally.
Look, girl. If I had made a song and dance about warning you, then you'd have thought me crazy and challenged the rules. You'd have been dead already. Be grateful you got anything. I didn't. I had to work it all out. Your generation is so spoiled.
She tutted in frustration at me. I was angry, but she was probably right. An elderly lady telling me rat-like creatures would kill my boyfriend in a lift would probably have got some laughs from me a few days ago. I stayed quiet and waited for her to calm down. After a while, she sighed and started again.
I think the cats are the neighbors that burned. They've never meant any harm, and they hiss and run from the imposters that roam the building. Besides, there's no way there are that many cats living on one floor. The imposter people don't even match up with the residents that died in the fire. None of them look like or claim to have the same name as the dead. They just claim to live in their flats. I've met Natalia before. She left a bad scar on Bernie's leg from an incident we had. Nasty girl. Before the fire, there was CCTV. There was a recording saved of about 15 people marching into the flats and up to that floor about half an hour before the fire started. It was the only evidence found. CCTV wasn't great in the 80s, so they were never identified, and the flames melted the relevant cameras, so nothing ever came of it. I think the people that entered that night are the ones that asked for sugar. I don't know any more than that, but if you avoid them like I said, you don't need to know more. They hate the cats. I hope your friend survives, but I've seen what those people can do, so maybe she was better off dead.
Prue carried on stroking Damon. I watched the skin of her fingers melt and twist as they made contact with him. What happened to your husband? I asked the question so fast I didn't have time to consider that this was a topic she had explicitly said she didn't want to discuss in the note. But I had to know. She scowled at me.
I said I don't want to talk about that.
She hissed. I just lost the love of my life. I need some answers. I begged.
What happened to Bernie won't help you. I know you'd think any deaths in that building would be down to the quirks, but this wasn't. For the most part, anyway. Don't forget that we'd lived there for 35 years. Bernie knew the rules. We knew how to take care of ourselves and have a happy life there. It was our home.
I don't doubt that, Mrs. Hemmings. I'm sorry. I interjected.
Bernie had dementia. It started about 6 months before he died, and he deteriorated very rapidly. Towards the end, he started wandering. The doctor said it was common, but in our position, it was incredibly dangerous. More times than I can count, I pulled him away from the lift just in time. Along with wandering, he was forgetting the rules. He let that smug, awful window cleaner in 3 times, and thanked the Lord for the big metal pipe I kept by the balcony door. Chased him out a treat. Not that anything stops him from coming back. I'm sure you're already acquainted. After all those dangerous situations Bernie was in, by the end he made the smallest and most fatal of errors. He left a food bowl out for Damon at 10 a.m. I was out shopping with Terry and a few of the girls from the committee, and when I came back, I found one of those awful creatures.
Prudence started to cry. I put my hand on her shoulder in an attempt to comfort her. After all, I truly knew how she felt.
It was eating him.
She sniffed and steadied herself to continue, moving my hand.
I chased the creature away with the same metal pipe I had the window cleaner and pushed Bernie off the balcony. He was heavy, but I didn't want anyone to know what really killed him. its teeth. They made such an awful noise. It reminded me of...
Lila. I finished her sentence. I hadn't meant to. I was so invested in her story, I couldn't help it.
I gather you spoke with Ian then.
She said, sounding resigned.
I never meant to hurt that little girl. I loved her so much.
Tears rolled down her wrinkled cheeks. Damon, who was now sat next to her on the sofa, shuffled closer as if to cuddle her. Haven't you ever been curious about getting her back? I asked, my mind turning back to the methods hinted at by both Prue and the postman. I miss Jamie so much. I'd do anything to get him back. Her face filled with a look of horror and shame.
Of course I have.
She answered.
Which is exactly why I'm telling you not to.
But I couldn't let it go. Surely anything must be better than gone forever. I pestered. I wish I hadn't. Prudence, frustrated, stood up and gestured for me to follow. She led me outside to the back garden of the bungalow. At the back was a large shed, the kind people used for a man cave or a summer house. It was pretty. The sun shone down on it, lighting up the few cobwebs in the corners and making them twinkle. Mrs. Hemmings was careful to look into both neighboring gardens to ensure that there was no one around before she unlocked the door to the shed. We stepped inside, and the first thing to hit me was the smell. It was putrid, like rotting meat. I looked at the floor and covered my nose with my hands. Staring back at me was a pool of blood. I followed the blood with my eyes as Prudence locked us in the shed. Then after I made it past the animal bones, I finally saw it. Just like Postman Ian had described. One of the creatures was watching me from a heavy-duty metal dog cage in the corner of the shed. It looked reinforced, but still the metal had chew marks. Their jaws had to be strong to cause that. That didn't surprise me, looking at it. Its rodent-like nose and beady, yet somehow human-like eyes were nothing compared to the two very visible rows of jagged, sharp teeth that lined each gum. Despite its small stature, it was terrifying. Prudence opened a drawer in a dusty cupboard across the room and pulled out a can of dog food. She poured the contents into the bowl and passed the bowl through the feeding hatch. The cage had a safety feature, meaning the animal couldn't access the food until the hatch was locked from the outside. I was grateful for this. Prue turned to me and spoke. She brushed one of the two strands of hair framing her face behind her ear, gesturing to the hideous creature. She said,
Cat, I would like to introduce you to my granddaughter, Lila.
I was in complete shock, looking at it, at her. Prudence had a facial expression filled with guilt, and now I knew the truth. I could see it. The creature was exactly how Ian had described, except with wavy ginger hair and a sadness in its beady eyes. This abomination was Lila. This was how Prudence had brought her back. And this was the only way I would ever see Jamie again. A risk I wasn't going to take. After days of disbelief, the reality finally hit me like a ton of bricks. Jamie was dead, and he wasn't coming back.
You'll need a top-notch team to win this one.
Do this?
Meow.
I asked, my voice shaking with horror. Prudence scowled at me, trying to mask her shame.
I didn't want this. If you think this was my aim, then you're sicker than I am. I just wanted my granddaughter back. When she died, a part of me died. My son blamed me. His wife blamed me, and although he never said it, I could see in Ben's eyes that he did too. I pushed for her to stay. I wanted to spend more time with her.
Cute.
I got cocky about my ability to cope with the strange occurrences in the flats.
30 seconds
I know
before
what
you
you must
attack.
be thinking.
Get ready.
But I swear I didn't know about the sleepwalking until it was too late.
Storm Richards.
We had moved into the flat not long after my son left home to move in with his
To be
girlfriend.
fair, no one ever does.
He's
I've
the
only
youngest
seen
of
when I
3
want to be.
and was the last to fly the
Speaking of
nest,
which,
so we
any chance
downsized
you
for
could
the
come
2
in
of
and give my
us.
Tiger Division
He
agents
never
some
knew
tips
what
on
we were
stealth
facing in that flat or the
The battle
dangers
starts
that
in 5.
he sent his little
4,
girl into.
3, 2,
When it
1.
happened, it was a few years after the fire and the troubles with the creatures. We'd struck the deal with the things in the lift, and the neighbors of the burn flats had become a fixture, just like the other quirks. I really thought she would be safe.
Prudence paused to gaze longingly at the mutated little girl in the cage. The creature just twitched. In return, it bared its 4 rows of teeth and made a gentle hiss.
But how did you do this?
I stopped her with more urgency this time, looking at Rat Lila in disbelief. I had to get answers out of her fast. I didn't want to spend any more time than was absolutely necessary in this shit. She answered, her voice trembling.
Who the fuck is the gardener?
I grew more impatient with every confusion she threw at me. The last thing I needed was something new and potentially malevolent with the mix.
I didn't mention him in my note because he's been gone for over 20 years. He'll be of no concern to you, so don't worry. His damage is in the past now. Around the time Lila went missing, the council granted planning permission for the tower block next door. But before that was built, the land it sits on acted as a communal garden for ours and the neighboring tower block on the other side. It had a regular gardener named Derek, who you would often see tending the flower beds out front. Derek was one of the first people I met when I moved in. Like I said, I had to work it all out myself. And the first time the window cleaner came to the balcony, I naturally reached to let him in and offer a cup of tea. As my hand applied pressure to the handle to open the balcony door, there was a knock at the front door. I made a gesture to the cleaner to indicate that I would only be a minute, and answered. There was Derek. He stopped me and told me not to let that man in, that I would be making a huge mistake. I thought he sounded crazy, and I told him so. After a while of arguing, I got up to reboil the kettle and let the man in, and Derek grabbed my hands and shouted at me to look at the man outside. When I turned to look, there was no man outside but a monster. He was tall and impossibly thin. Flesh and bones, but somehow thinner than bones were gray and skin stretched over them. Yet eyes that seemed to be so deep set they went on forever, like the blackest cave you can imagine. Saliva dripped from his mouth and landed on my balcony floor, some sliding down the glass panel of the door. I opened my mouth to scream, but as I did, Derek let go of my hands and the monster was gone. In its place was that smug, friendly man begging for a drink while he cleans the windows. It took me a minute to process it, but I know what I'd seen. That was the real window cleaner. I never intentionally opened or tried to open the door for him again. That day Derek didn't stay long. He didn't tell me what the window cleaner is or why he visits every few days. He didn't explain anything about the weird things that go on. As much as Derek was a part of the strange happenings, he was like one that had been carved from life. He said that he'd always be around when I needed him, that it was his job to look after the residents, just like the flower beds. Over the years, he appeared a few times. He was instrumental in striking a deal with the creatures. When the neighbors died in the fire, we created a special display for the garden to make sure that nothing planted was poisonous to the cats as soon as they arrived. He also stopped an imposter from killing Bernie at our front door. He seemed like such a good thing for the residents. Always there to help, offer some gentle advice or a creative solution.
Need some ranged
firepower. He trusted. It changed when they granted planning permission for the other block, though. He knew his garden would be dug up to lay foundations and his uses redundant. He became grumpy and bitter over time, but no one paid enough attention to notice.
What's that ability?
Especially not when my tragedy struck. When Lila died, I was devastated. Derek appeared to me as I sat on a bench in the garden crying.
It's the only reason why
He offered to help me, to use the garden to get her back. I snapped at him. I told him it was his fault and that he should have been there when it happened to stop them. He worked so hard on the agreement with the creatures. He spent a lot of time with them. Lila broke the rule, and he had to allow them to do what had been agreed, he said. He couldn't have stopped them, but he wanted to make things right. I understood why he hadn't intervened, but I couldn't accept it. I lashed out at him, and I'm embarrassed to say I actually slapped the poor man along with stamping on his freshly planted flower beds. I was angry and grieving. I quickly burned myself out and collapsed into a blubbering heap on the deck floor. Derek attempted to comfort me, but his mind was on his garden. He said he was sorry for my loss, but I should not have attacked the flower bed. That he'd always been nice to me and I should be kinder in return. I snapped. I told him that it didn't matter because it was all about to be bulldozed in the next few days anyway. I should have taken more note of the way he twitched as I said that. He snapped. He said that he knew I was angry, but there was no need to take it out on him. If I was that desperate to get Lila back, he knew a way, but it was dangerous. I bet. Anything, I said. I would do anything. He told me it was simple, and that all I had to do was enter the lift and offer the creature some food, whilst repeating the phrase, "Reveticula mortis," during their frenzied hours. He said that there was no guarantee they wouldn't be punching on my bones before I even got the first word out, but that if I succeeded, I wouldn't have Lila back.
Again!
Of course, it was successful. There wasn't a creature inside as I performed the ritual as instructed. I thought nothing happened at first. She didn't appear straight away, but a few days later, I found her running around inside my house. She'd taken a chunk out of Damon's ear with her teeth. I tried to kill her at first, but just as I was about to finalize it, I saw in her eyes who she was. I tried to look for Derek, but by that point the workmen had started. Nothing was left of his garden, and nothing was left of Derek. No one has seen him since. You see, nothing in that building is totally harmless. You have to be on your guard at all times. I've kept her like this ever since. You may think I'm crazy, but I couldn't kill my own granddaughter. I'm not a monster.
Prue sighed and ushered me back out of the shed. She locked the door behind us, closing the padlock on her most hideous secret.
Get that vehicle
I was
moving
exhausted. It was a lot of information to take in.
Nice to
and
know
as
I
a
haven't
result
lost
of
my
the
hunter's
information
instinct
I've
after all
received,
these years.
real grief for my boyfriend was finally setting in. Every hope I had was dashed. I know many of you tried to tell me in the comments that he was gone, but I wanted you to be wrong so bad. I couldn't bear to look at Prudence Hemmings for another moment. I made my excuses and left, morosely riding the bus back to the tower block I had once been so excited to live in. It was late afternoon by the time I got home. The choice between the stairs and the lift didn't strike much enthusiasm into me, but I opted for the stairs. And after what I'm sure ended up being 11 flights, I made it the 6 flights up the stairs to my flat. I laid on the mattress on the floor and sobbed for Jamie. I sobbed so hard my throat went dry and hurt, and my stomach cramped with each gasping breath. I sobbed myself to sleep. My body and mind must have given up fighting the need to rest and shut down. When I woke up, it was late, about 10 p.m. I wrote as much of my update as I could for you guys. Hit post and just sat at the dining table, my head in my hands. My whole life had fallen to shit, and I knew it. I thought about so many things, questioned why they were happening to me. I searched social media for updates on Georgia, but there were none. Jamie wasn't super close with his family, but I knew it wasn't long before they'd start to worry. Everything I considered just snowballed in my mind. The loneliness in dealing with this situation was killing me. I decided to do something I usually wouldn't. I went downstairs, and I knocked on the door of flat 26. Terry answered. Her perfectly bobbed hair was a little unkempt and out of place. She had huge bags under her eyes, and I could smell wine in her breath.
Are you okay, Kat?
She looked concerned. I found it ironic that she looked so disheveled. I had forgotten it was me who came for help. I'm not. I'm sorry. I know I don't know you. I could barely speak.
Don't worry. Prue called me. She told me everything. I'm sorry about your boyfriend. It's a shame I never got to meet him.
Terry stared back at me with the same expression a mother would. Warm and understanding.
Would you like a cup of tea?
You'll need a top-notch team to
Maybe
win
something
this
stronger?
I'd love a coffee, please. I answered meekly, making my way into the living room. The sofa was comfy and reminded me of being back home at my parents' before any of this started. Terry trotted out to the kitchen, stumbling slightly. I could see the kitchen counter from the sofa and the empty bottle of wine that accounted for her stopping. As she boiled the kettle, there was a huge crash from somewhere inside the flat. I jumped, feeling startled. Terry coughed in an eager attempt to conceal the noise.
Excuse me for just a moment.
They really think they can get away from me.
She muttered apprehensively as she walked out of the living area and into the hallway containing the bedrooms. I heard another crash, giggling, and some inaudible shouting. After a while, things were quiet, and Terry came back into the living room.
Sorry about that. Good.
You may have put on a fancy red cape, but you're no
she announced, brushing off the noises.
You're just a
I almost forgotten about Eddie and Ellie. It was late already, and by the resigned expression on Terry's face, indicated that this was how all her nights began. I nodded. I couldn't muster up much more of a response. I think she could see that I just wanted to sit there. She got up to finish making and then set the cup of tea in front of me with 2 digestive biscuits. I hadn't eaten properly in days, and I really needed the sugar. It turned out me and Terry get along really well. We have similar tastes in movies, music, and food despite the age gap. We spoke for about an hour about random, normal stuff. It was nice to get a break from the madness. I got used to the crashing around from the twins. I even laughed a few times. I'd forgotten what that felt like these past few days. The break didn't last long. The next noise that we heard was louder than the first. It was quickly followed by 2 small children running into the living room, diving into their mother's arms. Eddie and Ellie were dressed in pajamas, and were still the cute children that I had met in the hallway. But something was different. Their brown puppy dog eyes had become deep voids, like what I'd imagined when Prue described the window cleaner's true form. And at the ends of their fingers were long, sharp claws protruding from where the nails should be. I didn't have time to recoil in terror of their new looks. Terry clutched them and asked what was wrong. They wailed and filled the voids where their eyes should be into their mother's shoulders. Despite their terrifying exterior, these were two very scared little kids. It had been a very long day, and I thought my nightmare was over. But it was only just beginning. Ellie mumbled into Terry's shoulder, and that high-pitched voice kids didn't understand.
Oh, sorry, we didn't mean to let them in. We were just teasing. My luck is
What have you done?
Terry asked. Color drained from her face. The kids didn't get a chance to reply. Terry's face turned paler than I thought possible. I looked up, and standing in the living room doorway were about 10 people, all incredibly average-looking. They were almost expressionless. They didn't look angry or pleased to see us. They were dressed in nondescriptive clothes. I imagined trying to describe them to one of these artists that draws pictures for the police. And I genuinely don't think even one of them had a distinguishing feature. That's why it took me a while to spot her in the crowd, even though she had been glaring at me the entire time. Natalia.
That's why we set the fire all those years ago.
She chuckled throughout her words. There was an animation in them, like she was a psychotic cartoon character, finally catching its prey after 138 episodes of chasing.
Those people weren't disposable.
Terry mumbled, barely a decibel higher than a whisper. Natalia went from psychotic cartoon to scared green. She made my skin crawl.
I was only a child. Those people were friends of my parents. They were good people.
That definitely helps.
Terry said with slightly more confidence. None of the other people had moved. They just stood there, staring. Why would you burn people alive? What can you possibly gain? I interjected, taking a slight step between Natalia and Terry and the kids. I could see she was getting ready to go for them. I couldn't let it happen.
We were living with the great leader, Michael. All of us. Living in the righteous manner that he had directed us to live.
She gestured to the people around her. I mean, Michael appeared to inspire some sort of emotion in the group.
Michael's brother, Jonathan, lived here. On the floor we burned. He let us hang out there sometimes. But he didn't live the righteous way that we did. He didn't like our beliefs. But he took us in when we lost the place we were staying because of the growth of the group. Him and Michael rarely saw eye to eye. They argued passionately. Our group never believed in living within the constraints of societal norms. And we were up at all hours. We came and went as we pleased, embracing freedoms and listening to music as we did introspective work.
Terry shoved the kids further behind her and snapped, infuriated.
Oh, please. You were a group of entitled bratty hippies following some middle-aged, mentally ill twat. Listen to yourself. The stereotypical cultish drivel coming out of your mouth right now.
Terry cried. I was shocked by her outburst, although I couldn't have agreed more. It did sound like cultish drivel. It made me so angry that this was what the entire floor of people died over. As Terry ended her rant, the curtains hanging on the window behind her burst into flames. I jumped and felt my heart skip a beat.
Don't insult us. I'm sick of hearing simple-minded people call us a cult.
Came from the back wall. An average-looking man with dark hair and jeans had piped up, smiling and watching the curtains burn. He had done that. They were all capable of what Natalia had done to Georgia, at the very least. For the first time since the people had entered Terry's flat, my nerves of steel had wavered. I realized that we were only alive because they were allowing it so far. We were in big trouble. Terry swiftly shut up, and Natalia continued her story.
Michael was the true leader. Not the sort of face you hear on the news. The people you're talking about. He was teaching us to build a world of peace and harmony. But he didn't deny that in order to do that, you had to eradicate the non-believers. He taught us to embrace the badness, to harness it, so that we could do extraordinary things.
She smiled wickedly as her hands grew hot coals. It may have sounded like but Michael being a total faker wouldn't explain her powers.
Things went wrong when someone went to the police after Michael and Jonathan had a terrible argument one night. When the police arrived, Jonathan told us to go. The group had been planning to leave this building anyway. We'd had nothing but interruption and trouble in our time here. This place is weird, but we had nowhere immediate to go. The police already disliked us after overcrowding the last time. We didn't need any more attention. Michael was furious. We brainstormed in the field for hours who could have done it. I personally suspected the next door neighbor made this. The woman was so nosy, always knocking and asking us to keep noise down, interrupting our spiritual sessions. Michael couldn't make a certain judgment on the person who had done it. All we thought we were sure of was that they had to be on the same floor. So he instructed us to go back that night and eradicate the whole floor and every non-believer who lived there. As you know, we obliged.
This incited sickly laughter from the crowd. I waited, forcing myself to let her finish, buying time.
We took pleasure in their screams and watching every man, woman and child go up in flames through their front door windows. It was the first time we'd unleashed all that energy, and we felt so powerful. But then as we left the burning hallway behind us and entered the stairwell, this building found a way to fuck us over one more time. I couldn't give you a number on the amount of times we tried to run down those stairs, with our glorious victory behind us, and return to Michael. It didn't matter how many times we tried. We couldn't make it past that floor. The stairs wouldn't let us. It didn't take long before the fire reached the stairwell we were trapped in, burning us all, along with the non-believers. We died just in time for the fire engine to arrive. We may have been dead, but we didn't disappear. We couldn't leave the building. We were stuck just wandering in it, in and out of the burned flats and hallways, but not allowed anywhere else unless we were asked. It was awful. We didn't try to cause any trouble at first. We waited for Michael to come and find us, instruct us. 2 months passed and he hadn't come. Instead came confirmation.
The right heroes could make all the difference.
A newspaper put through the door of the building.
Meow.
Headline news. Tower Block resident Bernie Hemmings information vital to imprisonment of local cult leader on drug charges.
I gasped. I couldn't believe I hadn't found that when I was researching Peru. But I suppose local news wasn't so heavily online back then. Natalia saw my shocked expression and grinned wider than before.
The old bat didn't tell you that then?
She asked, although it wasn't really a question.
That her stupid husband is the whole reason we're here. We started to really cause issues then. Did everything within our power to screw the whole building over.
Think they can get away
Glad
from
it didn't take them long to work
cute.
out
They'll be coming
that
in 30
we had
seconds.
to be asked
Stay strong.
to come in. We only stopped when Prue worked out a way that we could die a second time. And that we would come back again. She killed 2 of our group. She was the only person that could stop us. We couldn't do shit with her around. We stopped and reached a stalemate. Then she moved out. We were going to honor that stalemate until you stabbed me.
3, 2,
Prue's gone.
1.
It's fair game in
You
here
have to
now.
stop them from securing the mission area.
As Natalia got angrier, a member of her group started getting agitated. They all soon followed, like a hive mind working as one. The stillness became chaotic, with all of them moving and making noise. I didn't notice at first when one started walking towards Terry and the kids, but I noticed when it got near. It was a teen girl, slender and pretty, but still unsettling on the average. As she got within a meter of the family, Ellie suddenly went rigid. The claws that replaced her fingernails grew longer and sharper, with jagged edges from growing so fast. The void deepened, if that was even possible. She opened her mouth to reveal rows of sharp teeth. Blood caked where the tooth meets the gum. where they had grown too quickly as well. Ellie jumped. She reached out towards the girl and slashed her face with her claws, leaving deep gouges across her eyes. She clung on the girl, using her claws as wall pegs, keeping herself at eye level. Eddie controlled the crowd. His own claws grew, and then he ran towards them, sending them scattering off the flat. Random bursts of flames erupted everywhere, lighting up the whole room. Shit had hit the fan. The two demon children were successfully fending off the group of 15 dead superhuman cultists. Natalia ran from them too, kept her eyes locked on mine as she did. As she ran from the flat, she spoke to me.
This isn't over!
She screamed, and I knew that it wasn't. I stayed on Terry's sofa that night. We organized all the burned items in the house and threw things out before we crashed out in the early hours. The kids' claws retracted, and they returned to their earlier state, causing mischief in the hallways. They were too young to really understand. I didn't sleep much. Nothing new. When I woke up, Terry was still asleep. I didn't want to disturb her, so I walked back to my flat, desperate to avoid anything strange on my way. The stairs must have noticed, because they didn't skip on me. I hadn't checked the time when I left Terry's, but I reached my door at the same time as a familiar face. Postman Ian was there, dropping letters on my doorstep. I need to talk. Can you come inside? Just 5 minutes, please. I practically begged him at the doorstep. I told him everything that had happened the night before. How Natalia was out for revenge, and I was the object of her rage. I begged him to tell me how to kill them, but he claimed he didn't know. He said if I kept my doors locked and didn't let them in, then I'd be fine. He looked shirty as I mentioned killing them. Didn't even suggest influence how to do it. Something was telling me there wasn't much point. He seemed so disingenuous. I wanted to trust him so badly. I wanted to trust him. I'd been so vulnerable with him over Jamie.
Good to have a partner to hunt with for
once,
once,
Elsa. Could forget to mention what Bernard had done. And conveniently never pass on the method to kill these awful people, leaving them around to terrorize her friends and neighbors. And could she be lying too? Could I really trust him? And he provided no answers and no real help. Something inside me told me that I needed to get him out of my flat. I needed to rethink, start working things out on my own. I made excuses to Ian and sent him these rooms. Prudence left me these rooms, but she left so much out. How do I know I wasn't always a pawn in some sick game? Her fantasy life as a puppet monster, setting me up to fail. She's kept her granddaughter in a cage for years. Maybe she enjoys suffering. I wasn't going to give up easily. Natalia wasn't going to win. I decided then and there that I needed to attend the committee meeting today and start building an army against Natalia. I didn't need Crew's help or her methods. With enough manpower, I could do it myself. This was war. I sat all morning thinking about everything. Cup after cup of coffee in front of me to keep me awake. Once the postman had left and I was alone with my thoughts, they just continued to get louder. I thought about Natalia and the cult, about the kids and their nighttime antics, about the committee meeting, Jamie, how much I missed him, Georgia and my burning guilt, and Mr. Prentice, who was finally making these aforementioned animal noises. Most of all, I thought about the note left for me on moving day. How it changed everything. My whole life was different now. I was alone, and it felt like my new home was attacking me from every angle. I reread the note a few times over in my coffee. I worried about my rent. It was tight, but manageable. School was currently out, but as a training teacher assigned to a school, I still get paid a small amount through the summer. The rent is low, and with a second summer job, I can just about make it without Jamie. It sounds strange, but it felt nice to worry about something normal for a minute. Even if I should have been worrying about my survival and the many entities currently trying to kill me, I didn't get to stew for too long. I had to get ready for the community meeting. After the events of the night before and my growing stress to prudence, it was imperative that I got the neighbors on my side. If I was going to achieve anything like my goals of eradicating the imposter cultist neighbors. The meeting was at noon in flat 31. There was a poster on a communal notice board by the entrance that I was glad to spot. Terry hadn't mentioned the time when we met, and all our meetings since have been a bit hectic to discuss it. The poster promised tea and cakes, and my stomach rumbled at the thought. I hadn't eaten properly in days. By 11:55, I left the flat and wandered into the corridor. I'd never seen so many neighbors. Mr. Prentice, however, was still making that awful noise, and I watched in disbelief as every single person in the corridor walked past his door as if it was silent. I did my usual deliberating on whether to take the stairs or lift.
Pick your hero.
But yet again,
or villain.
the stairs
I'm not
won.
judging.
I still couldn't bear being where Jamie died, and all these extra flights were keeping me fit. Flat 31 belonged to an older lady named Molly Thompson and her husband, Eric. She had a blue rinsed head of curls attached to her head and had gone to the effort to make homemade Battenberg cake. Other neighbors had brought along baked goods as well. It reminded me of a school fair. The flat itself was decorated for the 70s with plenty of china cat ornaments littered around. I sat down on a dusty plastic
You know
garden
me,
chair.
Spidey.
One
I
of the
like to
men that
play
Molly seemed
with
to
my
require
prey.
laid out for the residents pouring in. I hadn't seen a community spirit like this in
30
my
seconds
life.
before you attack. Get
I
ready.
smiled as I saw Terry, Eddie, and Ellie wondering.
I've been
It
told
was
on
nice to see
numerous
some
occasions
familiar
that I would
faces.
make a wonderful
I
spy.
had noticed people looking at
Sorry,
me,
Miss Hardy.
wondering who I was.
Target division operatives
It
go
probably
through a
wasn't
rigorous
often they
screening
got new
process.
neighbors.
You'd
Eddie
never
came
make it
running up
past
to me,
round one.
swung his arms around
Don't
me,
be so
and sat down
sure,
in the rickety
Foxy.
garden chair next
A
to
little
me.
bit of charm goes a
It
long
was so
way.
sweet.
The battle starts
Terry
in 5,
smiled at me and took the seat the other side of
3,
mine.
2,
Ellie sat
1.
next to her brother.
All you need
Brown
to do
puppy
is
dog
capture the
was
mission area. Got
no
it?
claws.
I'm
Few
glad you
heroes
came.
can have all the
Terry
praise.
said to me,
All I
loud
want is
enough
the
to hear over the
prize.
voices of the other
Deal?
neighbors.
I really want you to see the good side of the block. We don't bite. Really.
She laughed nervously as she realized the irony of her statement. Terry, I need help. We need to stop these people from coming back again and from terrorizing people. The block can't go on like this. I wanted to make the purpose of my attendance clear to her. It was time for things to change.
But if you don't let them in, then they don't bother you. I've spoken to the kids. They know not to do it again. But those people are dangerous.
She paused for a moment and sighed.
Although them running away didn't help. The kids think they're indestructible now. They've been telling me all morning that they're gonna kill the bad guys.
She looked so resigned. But it was true. They did run away from the twins. Maybe there was something in that. I knew they could die, I just had to look at how. But as the thought crossed my mind and I looked at Eddie and Ellie, I couldn't imagine taking the risk. I could have flat out gone back and asked Prudence. But to be honest, I didn't want anything to do with her. She gave me such a bad feeling. I was doubting everything she told me. It doesn't matter if we can keep them away. We can't all live in fear. Yours aren't the only kids in this building. I knew this from surveying the room. But I bet not all kids here are as special as yours. What if another family burns to death because their kids were hyper one night? I could see the struck a chord with Terry. She looked at me with glassy eyes as if on the verge of tears.
You're right. Molly's the chairwoman and she can be a little strict, but you can bring them up under any other business.
She spoke with a lump in her throat.
Here you go, by the way.
She handed me a piece of printed paper. Any other business felt a bit lackluster, but it would do as long as it got discussed. I turned my attention to the piece of paper. There was an agenda for the meeting. For something written so formally, it appeared farcical. It seemed other flats and floors had different, but equally strange issues to mine. There were only 6 items on the agenda for the meeting, with AOB as the 7th. They were as follows. 1. Welcome and introductions with apologies for absence. 2. Replacing of the flickering lights on floor 11. It seems to incite vicious behavior from the pets and elderly of that floor. 3. Serving a formal residence letter of concern to the man who doesn't move from the bottom of the stairwell on floor 5. 4. Finances. Budgets for general maintenance in the annual barbecue. 5. The stairs with no grip leading up to floor 14 at the very top, and the health and safety hazards it presents. 6. Soundproofing Mr. Prentice's flat, number 48. I was comforted to know that I wasn't alone in dealing with all these strange occurrences. I was also chilled to the core to know for certain that it was the entire building that was more than a bit locked. What really struck me as odd is that when I thought about it, I had seen that man on floor 5 when going down the stairs. But I'd never noticed that it had been every time, or that he had never moved, until this moment. The meeting began with a loud and dissatisfying clink. By this point, the tiny 70s themed flat was packed. Garden chairs had all ran out and people were standing. Molly Thompson stood up from her floral patterned armchair and bashed a teaspoon against the outside of the cup. She reminded me of a very strict disciplinarian school teacher I had worked with during my university placement. She commanded quiet in the room.
I think we should get started, everyone!
She shrilled, her voice growing louder with every word until the crowd came to a silent hum.
Right. Firstly, we are not going to skip the introductions today. Apologies have been given by Joe and Steph of Flat 2, and yet again by Mr. Prentice. We have a new face in the room, as I'm sure many of you have noticed.
She gestured to me and looked in my direction, but didn't really make any eye contact. She was just talking about me as I sat in the room. Eventually, she addressed me directly.
Stand up, dear. Introduce yourself. We're pleased to have you here.
I was deeply uncomfortable. I could feel some sort of panic coming on. I never liked standing in crowds very much. But I stood up
30 seconds
anyway.
before you attack. Get ready.
Hi. My name is Kat. I
You're
live in
tough
flat
for a
number
fox
42.
spirit.
I moved in with my boyfriend Jamie.
Back to your vampiric
but
ways?
He was
haven't
killed
been a
in the
vampire
lift
again
by the
that
weird
long.
rat creatures you people have living here. The people that claim to live in the burned out flats won't leave me alone. And one in particular seems to want me
The battle
dead.
starts in 5.
Oh,
4,
and that window cleaner
3,
outside my flat
2,
makes me want to scoop my own eyes out with a spoon every time he knocks on the door.
Capture the mission area.
Nice
Got
to meet
it?
you all. The crowd had gasped along. I sat down, instantly mortified. I don't know what happened. The normality and structure of the meeting overwhelmed me. There's something about a sense of order and normality amongst chaos. It does something to your brain. And for me, for the first time in this whole journey, it sent me into a meltdown. I sobbed as I hit the chair. Both in pure mental exhaustion and disappointment, I had blown my chance at building any sort of army against Natalia. Terry rubbed my shoulder. Molly broke the awkward silence that had blanketed the room.
Nice to meet you, Catherine. I understand life in this building can be a little overwhelming. We did ask the previous occupant to let us intervene when we moved in, but she was insistent. In hindsight, we may need to review our policies on new tenants. I am so very sorry for the loss of your partner. The lift is a most unfortunate situation.
She had been in positions of power in her life, of certain. She responded professionally but coldly. There was no feeling in her condolences. She came off like a corrupt politician, digging themselves out of a hole. She did decide to skip the introductions after my outburst. I also hated when I'm called Catherine. My parents named me Katie, and I shortened it to Kat. Her presuming it was Catherine added to her school teacher demeanor. She carried on with proceedings pretty swiftly, and interesting characters present at the meeting started to emerge. My favorite was a large middle-aged young man named Precious St. Fleur, who would not accept Molly's claims that there was not enough in the budget to replace the lighting on floor 11. She got up and lifted her shirt to reveal a large, deep bite mark across her stomach, caused by her dog after a long episode of the lights flickering. When that didn't change Molly's answer, she lifted her trouser leg to reveal a smaller but still noteworthy bite mark on her leg, from her elderly mother who lives with her. Molly didn't budge. It took what felt like an eternity to get to any other business. If I weren't so focused on my goal, I would have enjoyed hearing about the quirks of the other floors.
More than half of the mission
Maybe
area.
try to engage a little. I just couldn't concentrate. When the chairwoman asked if anyone had any other business, she scanned the room quickly. I stood up from my chair and she locked in on me with her eyes. My hands were shaking, with the feel of cold sweat forming all over my body.
Catherine, what can we help you with, dear?
She asked in a patronizing tone. I want help getting rid of the people pretending to be from the burned-out flats. I can't be the only person that doesn't like living in fear. I stated boldly, trying not to break down again.
Dear, we have had this discussion multiple times, and it's been taken off the agenda. I'm aware you're new here, but there's nothing we can do about certain problems within this building. And for this particular issue, we would appreciate you not letting them into your home and ignoring them like the rest of us.
She snapped back.
But that's not good enough. Terry's kids answered the door last night. They're children. It's easily done. What if someone else's child does it and aren't so lucky to survive? One burned my friend so bad a few nights ago that she's still unconscious in hospital.
This I knew from social media. A few people called out in agreement with me from the crowd.
The only one who has ever been able to deal with them is Prudence, and that difficult woman has never revealed her methods. Don't think we didn't try. You're suggesting a suicide mission. You do well to remember you are new here.
30 seconds before you attack.
Molly hissed through her teeth. Did she have to mention I was new so many times?
That hood of yours.
It was grating on me.
Any interest in selling?
Well, I'm willing,
shouted Precious. She seemed stronger than the rest in her earlier rank. I was glad to have her on my side. Where she came forward, a few others followed. Soon I had 5 people plus myself when we formed a subcommittee to get rid of the cultists. Molly didn't like it, and she agreed to let us do it. There was me, Precious, and Terry, along with a lady named Shanti, who lived a few doors down from me. A man named Anton and his friend Leo from floor 8 made up the group. To be honest, they just seemed keen to get involved with any kind of battle. Leo was the loud one. Anton was mostly silent. I invited them to my flat after Molly swiftly adjourned the meeting. Inviting anyone into my home made me anxious now. I found myself studying each of their faces to ensure they weren't too average. And I had invited the wrong people. I was fairly certain I hadn't. Eddie and Ellie settled in front of my TV in the bedroom so they didn't hear our conversation. They may only be kids, but I felt safer in my family. We discussed for hours how we could bring the imposter people into one place and kill them all. Leo was particularly creative. He came up with weird and wacky ways to end them, from locking them in a room and blasting with fire extinguishers until they freeze, to herding them into the lift between 1:11 and 3:33 a.m. The whole time I waited nervously for a knock on the door, for them to come for us. But they didn't. We have time to plan. But despite the time, it really took off. No idea seemed feasible. I shared everything I knew. My conversation with Prue, the night before on Terry's flat. Everything. Precious listened to my tales intently before speaking.
Derek would have helped us. He was a great man. He used to turn up at my door in the dead of night just as those lights started and take my dog for a walk.
She spoke of the garden with a fondness. Prudence told me about Derek. She said he's been gone since the garden was demolished. I replied flatly.
It was awful when he left.
That woman that used to live here was nasty to him. I watched out my window as she tore up the garden. I know she was grieving for that little girl, but I know Derek and I never went to her.
Shanti spoke up from the corner. She had been pretty quiet the whole time.
He was the whole reason we don't have those awful creatures from the lift all over our homes anymore. My brother was killed by one before leaving. He was 4 years old.
I twitched as she told her story. Shanti had such sad eyes, and speaking about her brother only filled them with further sadness. This is another thing I don't understand. Why have any agreement? If you managed to kill most of them, why not all? I asked, feeling anger over Jeremy going from my throat as I spoke. Precious laughed. Terry shot her a look from across the room.
No one's told you the whole story, have they?
Shanti asked, a single tear running down her face. What do you mean? This was driving me insane. Nothing was simple. How could I trust anyone?
When Prudence and some of the others killed the creatures, they killed a large group of them in one hit. They had started to work out that food scraps and pet food were attracting them, and they gathered all the pet food in the tower block into one empty flat on the floor. The fire had happened. The creatures came in droves, just like they expected, and they set the flat alight. Again.
I feel
The
like
flat was burned
myself
to ash,
again.
on top of pre-existing ash. Nothing could survive that.
Shanti was interrupted after this by Leah.
And then 3 giant rat motherfuckers literally rise up from the ashes. Triple as smart and strong, and fuck shit up.
Shanti rolled her eyes and continued.
So all Prudence did was cause a quite literally bigger problem. She didn't kill them. All she did was help them evolve. There was only 3 of them, but they learned a sneak attack. More people died than during the original infestation. They were more intelligent, but not in the way it comes across from the agreements spoken about. We couldn't speak to or reason with them.
Terry was looking at the floor.
Only Derek was able to do that. He spoke to them like he spoke to the garden. He made it safe for everyone again. I wasn't there. I was too young. But there, we were told he didn't even have to use words. They understood just a series of movements and eye contact. Derek explained the rule with the lift. He told us it was a gesture of goodwill. The creatures needed a home and seemed attracted to the building, and we would let them live there and stop killing their kind if they would stop killing ours. But to show them some respect, we would allow them a small time frame where they could unleash their instinctual nature. But only if someone came to them. There are only 2 left now. Prudence killed the other during what happened to her granddaughter. But that only made the 2 stronger. They absorbed the 3rd.
I tried to take in all the information I was receiving, but I couldn't. It was too much.
Derek isn't coming back. It's been years. This is pointless.
Terry finally arrived.